Okay, now we're live. Let me put the Mgtow thing up there and say, go your own way, Mgtow, go your own way. May all your sins be forgiven. You want to give your blessing, Joey?
Yes.
Yes. May all your sins be forgiven.
Yes, all your sins are forgiven, and you got a new life in Mgtow.
Your life's anew. May all your sins be forgiven. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got good sound. We're in, and you wanted to come on and talk. I was kind of shocked because I was just vegetating watching the Cavs game.
Yeah, they pulled away, huh? They ended up winning, I think.
Yeah, it was back and forth, and then they pulled away. And finally, it was when Sexton was in, they were pulling away, and then they take him out, and then they would lose some space. And Garland was, oh God, he was horrible today.
Yeah,
I thought I don't see what they see in him, but that's
I think a lot of times they're just resting guys up, and
yeah, they had like 3 big games in a row and 4 big games in a row, and I mean, Pistons was the first break they had, and hopefully they could rest a little bit. And LeBron took it to them the other night.
Oh yeah, they're playing good. They're losing right now. They're playing the Sixers.
God, they're losing good. Yeah, the Cavs had them, and then LeBron came up with 22 points in the fourth quarter. So of course, he couldn't lose to Cleveland.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about the critical thinking, Mgtow. I think it's a good topic to explore.
Okay, we come into Mgtow, and you got to do a lot of, you have to really look at it and do some critical thinking because it's problem solving, it's risk solving. We have this risk management thing that we're doing, and you have to look for evidence of what you believe, and that's critical thinking, making a convincing case for your solution. We often we have denialists, and we have people that don't like Mgtow, so we're constantly in this mode of critical thinking where we're getting people that are detrimentally to our thinking, and they're, I don't know if that's a word, but detrimental to our thinking, and we're trying to prove it right. So we do an awful lot of critical thinking in Mgtow, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first step is to just get the information. I don't know. I haven't really explored the critical thinking protocols or whatever, but I would say that's the first step is get the information. And that comes from asking good questions.
Yeah, asking questions.
Yeah.
And I always said that, ask questions about it, and then you be critical at first. We all come into Mgtow and we're critical, and we have to be critical because we have to prove it to ourselves, and that's part of the deconstruction period of our critical thinking. We just, okay, I'm done with this world the way it is right now, and I have to find a better way. So we deconstruct, and then like I say, you take things off the table, everything, and I don't believe in this no more. I don't believe in, with me it was a sudden, I don't believe in some some God up there that was going to take care of everything and constantly let me down. And we take those things off the table. If you have a right to believe those things too, and I'll never say that people don't, but them are one of the things that I had to look at in my life and say, what got me where I was? And it was that trad cuck thinking. I was a trad cuck. I thought that doing everything they told me to do, and I did everything they told me to do, and I got married, and that was, after that was a steady downward spiral till her walking out.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to look at the source where you're getting your information. I think that's important. You want to find sources that are positive, that they're they have a good life. You don't want to get your information from people that are not even Mgtow. First of all, there's a lot of those channels out there we talk about.
Right,
these guys are trad cucks, and the trad cucks tend to be living in a fantasy land for the most part.
they want to go back to that. They're trying to negotiate, and like Laz would say, they're trying to bargain for some deal that may work for them. And
Yeah.
you got to know by this point, when you get here, you got to know that it's somewhere deep down in your heart. You got to know that you just got to accept that that Mgtow is it's looking after your good, and you want to eliminate all those risks. You don't want to go back down that rabbit hole again, and so you got to start believing in something different. And it's hard in this world too. You being a Mgtow and believing what we believe. That there shouldn't be marriage, and there shouldn't be this whole dating scheme that's a slow walk up to the marriage, and it's just traditional courting schemes, and that's the dating scheme is a traditional courting scheme, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't believe in those things, and there are better ways, and we see this thing tearing apart our society as it is, and nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to, and it's hard when people conservatively balk. When they'll approach Mgtow, they'll ask them questions, and then they conservatively balk. I see this with most of society, because if you haven't heard about men's rights yet, you're probably pretty slow. And those are the people we don't want around. The people that are slow, they're going to conservatively balk when we talk about this thing. It's denying the Mgtow.
Yeah, they haven't done that.
Yeah,
they haven't done. They're not critical thinkers. I see like a lot of these channels that, they appear to help, but when you dig in deeper, a lot of times they're just kind of stomping their feet, and they just want to live in this fantasy land where the world's going to change for them. And
the world's going to change for them. They're going to find it in the walls, and
yeah, exactly. They're not gonna. It's not going to happen. So you have to. You have to be a good critical thinker to overcome that,
Yeah, and even if you do find a unicorn, that's a mask. It's a LARPer in a uniform, a unicorn uniform.
Yeah.
At a Kmart, hey, maybe she's interesting for a little bit, but remember, you got to remember what happens. In a second, that changes, and everything you built is gone.
Yeah, well, a good example is I hate to make fun of the guy because I respected him, but when he came out with that video like unicorn hunting and heartburn, I'm like, man, here's a guy that had the world by the nuts, and then I don't know how he's doing now. I don't think he's made a video in a long time, but here's the guy that had it made, right? Everything's going great for him, and what's the word? Then he gets to the video about unicorn hunting. And I didn't know what to, I just kind of cringed when I saw it. And a guy like him can slip up, then that says a lot, because he's really, he's very smart. I was thinking like he's like a very smart guy. He's tall. He's a good looking guy. You know what I'm saying? And he just totally like blew it right with that video. So
yeah, one video, and he's that's how easy it is to slip out of Mgtow too. We see a lot of guys come in and they want to go back and negotiate with that, and that, that's what the rest of the world's doing. It makes it really easy, and it's an easy out for difficult questions. And there's a number of difficult. If people think we came here and we chose to be Mgtow and men's rights advocates and we didn't think that we thought we were just going to skate here, and this we're going to be. This thing rules my life. It influences every facet of my life. There is nobody here. There's nobody to lean on, and there really was never nobody to lean on. It was always 100% me, so it's not that bad. But them questions come. Wouldn't it be nice if I had a partner, or if there was somebody in this world that there would be there to help out and pay half the bills, and how rich would I be now, and stuff like that. Them are common thoughts, them are critical thoughts. But that's philosophy. We go over these thoughts, and what are the end results of that? them thoughts. Okay, you ask you, it's like philosophy is easy, and somebody explained one day to me that Joe, philosophy is easy. It says it's like a kid that wants some more ice cream. He's going to negotiate for some more ice cream. You as a parent or an adult, you got to come up with why you can't have the ice cream, or is it okay to have the ice cream? Did you eat your dinner? You're doing critical skills like that, and it's like, did he eat his dinner? Is he just going to lie down on some ice cream? Has this kid eat ice cream every day? And then you have to explain to the kid why he can't have another scoop of ice cream. That's common in life for us, having to go through those kind of thoughts. But there's much bigger decisions when you make a decision to be a Mgtow. There's a huge decision. It's a huge life-changing thing.
Yeah, which is why the source of where you're getting your information is so important, because
Right.
you listen to guys like, again, these go back to these track hooks, because, or you listen to married people talking about Mgtow. Well, your foundation is Mgtow, like it's not going to be strong. It's just not, because these guys they're going to leak in information there that's not Mgtow.
No,
so that's the first step, I think, is finding. It's a couple first steps. Being a good listener, obviously, but also the source of information. Like, you've been through it, and you're certified Mgtow for probably going on a decade right now, at least.
Pretty long time. Huh?
Yeah. So, listen to a married guy talk about Mgtow. Well, that's you're going to get what's it called, Mgtow Light? The beer.
Yeah, they're going to make Mgtow Light, and they're going to. And I hear this with a lot of guys, human, and they're always kind of bargaining with that. The way they project their questions and everything is always like, why, what do you do when you're dating this girl and stuff like that. It's like, well, as a Mgtow, you shouldn't be dating. And that's one of the kind of basic rules. And so we get these Mgtow lights, and we get this with Sandman, we get this with Human, we get this. I don't think Thinking Ape does that. He's kind of a critical Mgtow, and and then they the first thing we get is like, hey, that's my type of Mgtow. No, that's your type of MRA. That's not Mgtow.
Yeah.
From the inception, that was the big argument we got from the MRA. When I was around when back in 2000, when we were talking about these things on the boards. We didn't have this. We were talking about them on chat boards, and we went over all these arguments. We were going over all these arguments of like, there's this thing now, and in 2004, it's like, we're calling it Mgtow, and it sounds like you guys are a lot of the Mgtows in the MRA. Like, they're too extreme.
Well, and then you read stuff about like we detest women or whatever. Like, no, that's not what it's about. We don't detest women. We want what's best for women.
Right. Oh, I want absolutely what's best for them. I want them to find their strength, but with that autonomy. If they can find their autonomy, then that's great, and deal with that. But with that autonomy comes, responsibility.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm angling. That's my idea is, okay, let's give the girls that total autonomy. They have the right to do this. They have the right to. We'll take away. I agree. No marriages. You don't have to sit in the house with some trad cuck trying to grope on you at night. That's a disgusting thought. Marriage has always been about males getting what they want. And getting what they want is a girl fat and pregnant in the kitchen. He gropes on her every night, walks out of the house, and goes back to that thing that Camus talked about, you get up, drink your cup of coffee, go on the subway, work 4 hours, go back on the subway, get lunch, go back on the subway, go back to work another 4 hours, get back on the subway, go home, and that's that mundane life. That's not for me. My God, that 9 to 5 every day, that eats your time up. It eats your it eats everything up, and but that's the absurdity of life. This is what we do. This is what people settle for, and in between there, they just want to get home and think that they're loved and make up some fantasy fiction world that's full of unicorns and happy faces and because life is so absurd.
Yeah, I knew guys that their fathers used to give their paychecks to the mother.
Yeah.
It's that's just insane, but these guys are not critical thinkers, right? Because if you're in that situation where you're working and you're giving your paycheck to somebody else, like as a married man, like, so yeah, the people that do come to Mgtow, they're good critical thinkers. I think that's, if I were to pick one thing that they're good at, like we're good at, is that we're good critical thinkers. And again, that comes from assessing the source where you're getting your information.
Yeah.
Because, and then also being a good listener, being someone who's able to take in the information and then what's that saying? Verify, trust. How's it go?
Yeah. Trust but verify.
Yeah, my uncle said Reagan used to say that. I don't know, whatever. I don't care about Reagan, but I'm just saying that my uncle used to, that he trust but verify. So I can't take someone who's married and talking about Mgtow. I'm never going to take them seriously, but right. Someone like yourself talking about it, or RP, or somebody that's that's a true Mgtow. I'm going to take everything they say and I'm going to trust it. But then even with that, like, I'm still going to verify. I'm still going to double check it. And like all the stuff that you talk about is backed up. Most of it, if not all of it's backed up by scientific, evidence too.
We've done the research over the years, and we've the sociological research, the biological research. We found the right terms, and even back then there were no words for these things. Hypergamy, we had to go out and reach out to our Pakistani friends for that word, and gynocentrism is another Pakistani. Them words didn't exist or were not even used back then. We had to come up with a vocabulary that we could all use, and we knew these vocabulary was meanings and ideas. It's not just a single word; it's a whole meaning. It's an idea. What is going Galt? When you were going Galt, or what was a monk, and and then what were the four sides of the Mgtow sign? It's like MRA, going Galt, monk, and PUA. That's the four sides of them four things came together back there. And I think it was that last thing back then. People were talking highly about going Galt wasn't a thing, and then John Galt came out with that was the reference to John Galt and the philosophy of Ayn Rand had kind of started taking over with the libertarians, and then it was that kind of that impact that drove Mgtow over the edge. People did start thinking a little more critically, and they started thinking about Russell Brantham's kind of philosophy, and but there was a lot of thought put together in this thing, and it's not just a frat boy gonna go out and and hit it, quit it, and use the them are just logos, and they're just sayings to make yourself feel better about this harsh life that you got coming ahead of you. And I mean, so many people stick to those logos in life. It used to drive me nuts. And when people would, what do you call those? They would use them all the time in every situation. They always had some patented little logo to pull out of their pocket. If you hang around at the barber shop, you'll eventually get a haircut.
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts. And I hate to think that Mgtow would become that. That. Those idioms that you just pull an idiom out of your pocket or pre-established. I thought it was going to be more philosophy, and we're gonna pick a philosophy that basically represented a modern philosophy. Because we're driving into postmodernism, and postmodernism is built on modernism. So you look at the pragmatic. I like to look at being pragmatic and Camus, and I'm even changing my mind a little bit about Camus lately. it's a search for that truth, and you know so it becomes a lifelong pursuit. And no one's ever been. The men have never done this where they've actively went on strike against. You know what? And it tells you that in the history of men, this is the first time men have actually went on strike against marriage and traditionalism. And that tells you that maybe marriage and tradition, because that a guy asked me the other night, and he was like, well, was it like that before? And 1850s, 1840s, 1700s? No, we had different things. We had romanticism and we had Victorianism, but traditionalism and romanticism and we in these things that they cling on to, this conservative traditionalite, these things, maybe they didn't exist back then. Maybe there was no such thing as those things. And I was thinking, well, maybe traditional was not there, and it was more of a need driven by or a society driven by need.
Yeah, I think ideas have to evolve. That's like Bill Hicks talks about that. He's a great comedian.
Someone said,
you have to evolve ideas, and I think that's an idea that's kind of not benefiting humanity. As traditional marriages.
Traditional, yeah, that conservative traditional marriage that I think it was brought on by the Catholic Church in the mid-20s when we picked Catholicism over, or even I can't blame it now on Catholicism, because Protestantism and a few other that we picked that over Mormonism.
Yeah.
And
you have to evolve ideas. Ideas have to evolve because that's how you have a better quality of life, and people are more prosperous. And
right.
You look what marriage has done to men. I mean, in terms of poverty and just emotional distress and whole
right.
thing. It's just a mess.
Right. In this neo-capitalism that we have now, you got to wonder, okay, what sprang up with neo-capitalism? Feminism. I mean,
what did?
Feminism.
Yeah, that's right.
So you got to put two and two together. These things emerge together, and we can look back and we can critically think about that and go, well, Bernays, what did Bernays do when he marketed those cigarettes towards those free and independent little girls, and they had a march? That was the first time everybody's seen that feminism thing, and well, that was capitalism, and capitalism was working with feminism hand in hand this whole time, right up to now, and they wanted a new market. Well, they got a new market, but with that new market, we've got a lot of things.
I guess that would probably be their argument. The Tradcucks is that, well, that is evolution. Evolution is having a family unit, and
yeah, that's what they're going to say.
Yeah. But I talked to a guy who's like who's married over 30 years, and he goes, well, I only cheated on her like half a dozen times or something. Here's a guy that's like a very loyal husband, and you know what I mean? And he was just, hey, that's almost like a biology thing where it's like he just needed something else, right? His wife probably couldn't get him going or whatever, and
yeah.
So he did a little quick little, I think it was with prostitutes, and so it's like, and then now, so if a guy so you take a guess, so that's probably biology, I'm guessing, but you have a situation where you have men in like a Christian church or whatever, and he does something like that, he's liable to kill himself, because it's like he feels so much guilt for what he did, but that's just a biology thing where, you know what I mean? And so it's really a sick idea. These traditional conservatives are really sick in the
back in my trying to work in society thing with counseling and stuff, we had a group, and I remember this one guy, all the other guys were complaining about they're like, oh, she cheated on me, and I'm experiencing depression, and I'm drinking, and I'm a DNA counselor, so I'm trying to get these guys not to drink. And then there was this one guy, and this is a cognitive therapy course, and we're just going through it and everything. And the other guy says I cheated on my woman, and then I cheated on her again, and I feel so bad about that. And I was like, well, this is unique.
Yeah.
And my idea is, at that point, it was like, my wife had, served the papers and everything. She served me up, and what she said at the end. She said, "It's none of your business." And I thought, exactly.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It's none of your business either what I do with this, and it's none of nobody's business what you do with your body. Feminists will tell you that it's her body, her choice, but that goes for me too now, and I believe that 100%. That goes for me. When somebody says, when that creep asked me what I was doing with my body, it was offensive. It's none of your business what I'm doing with my body. That's not even. If I was dating somebody, that wouldn't even be their business. If I was married to somebody, that wouldn't even be their business.
Right. That's right.
I mean, that's it for me now. And it's like, why be in one of those situations? Why even put yourself in one of those situations when it's nobody else's business what I'm doing? And that's my government too. And that's the big one that we have to get over here is like our government. That's none of your business what we do as men. We live in an autonomous society where we're supposed to be individualists. At least that's what I was taught. Now,
yeah, and then the Bible thumpers will tell you, oh, you have to read the book of Genesis and Adam and Eve, two become one flesh, and it's just crazy. It just shows how crazy the Bible. Like I was listening to a guy. He's talking about in the Bible. Like he's an old ex-mob. I've listened to these mobster videos. Yeah. These guys are a bunch of knuckleheads, man. Because they couldn't do anything else, so they worked the streets. But whatever. He's talking about the Bible. The Bible said, it's like, well, listen, buddy, that's where you're lacking critical thinking skills because the Bible is not the end all be all. Okay. It's not, it's just another book. It's like majority of the Bible is taken from, it's text taken from more ancient texts. So it's not even, it's like a fraud, it's not even like, it's just taking bits and pieces from the religions.
Yeah.
But, so this whole idea of like, oh, two become one and this mystical, once you have sex with a woman and you're like attached to her forever, it's like so stupid,
That is so stupid.
How many women I've been with? I'm not trying to I'm a Mgtow now, but like I lost track of how many women. I don't even fucking know. Excuse my language, but I don't even know how many. It's like I've lost count. Like and there's no mystical union there. It's all a bunch of big lie to try to get people to commit to that tradcon thinking.
Yeah. There was always some. There's always some. That's the existential angst about life. That's that thing that you have to look at. What's our purpose here? Do we have a purpose here, and all that stuff? And I've been thinking about that, and that's where I kind of veer from Campbell a little bit now. And I came up with this line. Instead of asking about death and what's next and what was my purpose here, and I just said to myself, I had a place in this world. And I started being more joyful with that. I take comfort in knowing that my spot was my destiny and it was fulfilled in this world. I think about little things all the time, that what I've done, what I've achieved. You can think about I think about this one thing. One day I had worked 16 hours and then I went home, and then like 3 hours later, they called me back up. And they said, the machine's down, and we're running at that point. We're running steel, and it was farm season, so the farmers needed the plows to get out. And they says, man, we're back too. And this is for, there's only so many plow companies that run at that capacity. And they said, Joe, can you come back in? And it's 16 hours. I came back in, and I worked another 12-hour shift after that. And I got this machine up, and then we started running. And that's my moment up there on top of the machine with the big wrench with the flame shooting all up. And I was like, and, I did it. And or 2 weeks, and then we caught up, and I thought, later on that year, I was thinking, well, when I was in the grocery store, I looked at I was looking at the grocery section, the vegetables and everything, and I thought, man, if I wouldn't have showed up that night and them farmers didn't get those crops in the field and this stuff didn't get to the store, that wouldn't be here right now.
Mhm.
And I had to, and I thought, well, that's a great impact I had on life. Millions of people ate because I showed up.
Yeah,
And
it's a good feeling.
and it's a good feeling. And that's what I think about that in my life now. I think about, instead of all those nihilist things of nihilism now, I think about, did I have a place in this world? And I had kids. I was, married for a while. I did these marvelous feats. I like, I don't like to brag about. And I was in the army. I protected liberty, and was my place fulfilled in this world? If you can think back and you said, and you can get that smile on your face, and I fulfilled my destiny. I had a place in this world, and some of these things really, really were good for this world. And if you can think about that, all that rest of that existential angst goes out the door. And I don't think about death anymore. And I don't think about what purpose I have on this planet. And even that even flows down into my Mgtow now, where I don't think, I think more about philosophy and what I've done, and the happiness that's occurred. And I know these things are complex questions, but that's, your Mgtow. You have to ask yourself, are you pleased with your thoughts? Can you sit here and say, man, if I fade away right now, I'd probably fade away just with a smile. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a pretty decent life and I made a difference on this planet. And can you do that? And if you're a youngster, it's not all about none of those things that ever made me that make me to this day super happy about my existence on this planet. None of those things came from, marriage. Of course, I love my kids and everything and that, and I think they're the greatest thing in the world. And my progeny goes on, and but if you don't have them kind of thoughts about that one thing, you got this one thing in your head, Joey, that, man, if you weren't there, that, the butterfly effect of that could have affected millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, just being a positive person, you can do that.
Yeah. And I think about my time in the oil producing, from working for Mobil Oil, and millions of people every day pick up a can of oil, which I probably had a big part of, canning that stuff and getting it out and distributing it to every one of those, anybody that's ever went to a Kmart or an Ames store or one of those stores and picked up a can of oil and changed. I had a big part in that. So, you probably, somewhere in your life, you probably used a product that I touched. I had a hand on. So if you can think about your life like that, and I think everybody should think about, you know, your life like that, it's like there's bigger things you can do besides following this traditional get up, that get up, go to work, grab the subway, get on the bus, go eat your lunch, come back, another 4 hours, bam, same thing the next day, the next day, where you're really not doing nothing, and that's not making you happier. It doesn't turn you on. There's better things. Think about those things that you can do to change this world, to make this world a better place. And so many people gonna die, and that's follows you down that traditional thing. I just do the same thing, do what everybody says. Get married, have children. Every day I get up, she throws a can of soup at me on the way out the house, screams some profanities, and I take it. My happiness is not important. That's the things that'll you'll be screaming out on your deathbed, wondering who you were and did you have some kind of impact in this world. If you went through that life where you just wake up, go to work, do a menial task job just because the money's good and never experiment with something a little more challenging.
Yeah, just being comfortable in your own skin, I think that's a good sign of, that you're on the right track.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable in your own skin too. That's most important in with your stuff. That comes through that deep introspection of Mgtow. And but I think there's so much more than just that can of Mgtow light at the end of the night, and that's
Yeah.
that's and then there's so many guys out there that you can see the thirst and the desire, and they're still talking about what to do in these dating situations. It's like,
Yeah.
man, if you don't know what to do after the age of 18, you're pretty lost, and maybe Mgtow can't help you.
Of course. But you got to have the critical thinking. You have to always, consider the source, and then be a good listener. Because if the source, if you can't listen to people that are out of control, their lives are out of control. I don't care how much, I don't,
Yeah, you want to examine what they say and see what.
Yeah, you gotta have sources that people that have integrity and have wisdom, and those are people that you want to be around, and
right,
they'll help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not going to be hard. That's not going to be easy to find. Most people, they just go for the everyday mundane, and that mundane living, and I mean, you get advice from every bartender in the town, and that seems to be the thing to do. You see that so many times in the world of the absurd on Hollywood. The married man drinking away and getting some advice from the bartender about his wife.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, wow, is that your source of information? That's like going to Facebook.
You have people that are 100 pounds overweight giving you like advice on how to live healthy,
Yeah, healthy, yeah.
Yeah, and then meanwhile they never exercise, and they eat whatever they want. You have to always consider the source. That's why, if I hear a Mgtow that's married, I mean, shut it out. Even a Mgtow that criticizes women.
Right.
That's not really where it's at. That's not where it's at. We're not really here to criticize. Yeah, it's fun making fun of them every now and then because they are kind of silly and everything, and with their makeup and Queen Latifah crying on the street and all this.
Queen Latifah.
Oh God, that commercial's annoying. She has like a quote in there, like,
"Oh yeah, she's karate chopping."
Like people come to me when they need to get things done.
Yeah, it's time to get done.
Okay, Latifah. So annoying.
Yeah, that's.
But you know what I mean. It's just
75% of Hollywood now is to push the social narrative of the strong girl. Now they give them confidence, and I don't have to watch the shows, and so I don't. But if that gives them confidence and they become those strong, independent girls that go out and find responsibility, but none of the shows are actually teaching them about how to get that autonomy. It's like in the real world, you're not going to run out there and, it's like kick down a door and karate chop two bad guys,
Yeah, it's hysterical.
You're not going to beat up a 270-pound guy, that's not going to happen.
Well, it's good you brought up Hollywood, because again, those are not sources that you want to take your information in, and that gets people in trouble. Like you're taking in this information from these sources like Hollywood or their church, or that's the thing that's funny. You look at the church and you think, oh, the church is good, they got those conservative ideas, and Hollywood's bad because they got all these liberal ideas, but they're all the same. They're the same puppet masters running both. They're running both scams. So they're running both institutions, and they want to get you to think a certain way,
right?
So they can control you.
Yeah.
So
you back in the
So don't buy into that. Don't even consider that. Don't consider those sources. Don't take that information in. Don't absorb that information that they're putting out because they're full of shit.
Yeah.
So just let it go. Just let it go. Go on to a better source, which is why, like yourself, listening to people like yourself or Warhorse or people like that, RP, Johnny Midnight, people that are living they're living quality lives because they're winning at life. Those are people that you want to listen to.
Right. Yeah. Just
Element, there's another guy. He's got his shit together. There's enough examples of people in Mgtow that can help.
Right, and that's all we're really here for is we'll tell my story, and you'll see here's where I was at. We'll do that AA thing. Here's where I was at. This is what happened, and this is where I'm at now. And
right, but they're listening to people. They're listening to Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah, or they're listening to these. They're watching these movies about love. There's no such. I mean, we say there's no such thing as love, and that's pretty much correct. I think. Like, I don't think it's love. It's just a silly word. Yeah, it's just a silly word.
It's a silly word. You're chemically infected with bacteria, which turns on certain hormones. And that's it.
You get infatuated, like these movies, like
and you're on drugs. That's
16 Candles or Pretty in Pink. All these, like, I remember when I was growing up in the 80s. I was a kid, young kid in the 80s, and those are movies that used to come out. All these effeminate guys, like had all these like affections for these girls, and it was just so stupid.
Yeah, it's just an addiction, and you get addicted to that drug, and love is a drug, And I don't want to sing the song right now because I'm kind of tired, but love is a drug, and that's it. And you get addicted, but you don't want to be there your whole life. It's like, but it numbs down all the. I know it numbs down all the crises and the angst in your life, and it takes the edge off of living and everything. But there's better ways to deal with that problem. I mean, whiskey, stills, and tumbleweeds in there. And hi, whiskey. Yeah, whiskey can tell you some pretty good ways to take the edge off of life. And that's where the magic happens. That's where when the stress is reduced, and marriage ain't gonna reduce that stress. Matter of fact, it's gonna increase. It's gonna dial that up.
Like what you say in another podcast, times 10. It's gonna multiply it by 10.
Yeah. Multiply all that stress by 10. And men are built to take those, that stuff. But you're not built to take that for a long period of time, and that will eventually break you down. And you're gonna. I'm not gonna debate the idea that people that are single live longer. I can't. Generally, I don't have the information that's going to tell me the methodology that's going to tell me to if that's true or not. But I do know one thing's for true, and two for certain is I keep all stress out of my life, and whiskey tell you that, and you'll tell me that, and I think Prune and RP is going to tell you that stress is, and that's got to be worth some years.
Or even decades. I think it's worth probably more than years. I think it'd be probably decades.
And I'm not really concerned with more years. What I want is more quality. I'm not a quantitative person anymore. I'm a qualitative person. I want some more quality of living. And at 60 years old, when I'm going to want to live halfway decent, where I can still move around. And I watched my father's body all racked up with cancer from working all those years in his shop, and my mother, both of them died from trying to give it their all and in horrible places. And that's one thing I don't need for myself. That's going to take a toll on your body, is your knees and your shoulders, and everything hurts, and you're going to be cracking like an old man when it's going to sound like popcorn when you stand up. That's not what you want. you want to start doing that in your 30s and 40s. Start, I wish I would have did a better job of that in my 30s and 40s, where I safeguarded for a better future, a more healthy future, a stressless future. Where I took care of my joints and but I got hit with a few things that were very unexpected. Most of my problems were in this world are just byproducts of people trying to kill me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, because once they can't get the utility out of you, that's what they want to do, is discard you.
Discard you, or like in my case, a $360,000 insurance policy. I looked highly disposable.
Yeah, don't ever get an insurance policy. I would say.
Oh, dude, if you are dating out there, don't ever get an insurance policy. At least don't tell nobody about it. And because when things get rough, I mean, we hear these stories all the time, and it happens more than you. Guys disappear, and did you need an insurance policy? I hope so. That's the first thing people say. I hope you left just loved ones well off, and man, it's like no, that becomes a reason. So at some point, you become less important than that money, and you're disposable, and that's what we always say. In any relationship, you're disposable. There's either that's for the next guy, or that's for that insurance policy money, or that's for even if for her happiness, she'll dispose of you in a second.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing to talk about, but
yeah. And that's some of the critical thinking you're going to have to do if you're out there, and the risk reduction and the risk, that I hear this risk reward thing. There's not a lot of rewards that are worth that risk.
Yeah, like my buddy, over 30 years, and then he said that she just got too materialistic. In the end, he got too materialistic, and then he lost his house or something. He had to sell. He had a big house. It's like 5,000 square foot or something. They had to sell it because of the recession, and she cried. She cried when she lost the house, which is interesting because 30 years of marriage, you figure you'd cry over that, right? No, she cried over losing the house.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about women, right? Like I mean, I know it's only one case, isolated case, but I don't think so. I think that's kind of in general shows the character of most women, that because they want that security. Women are all about security above everything else.
Right. And that's if you don't know that, and you've been through Mgtow and you're willing to risk that, and that's one of those things that. That's a weird thing, because you can have like 4 or 5 years of happiness, and then in 1 second, it's all gone. And you'll be sitting there with that stupid look on your face. It's like, you should have seen the stupid look on your face.
Yeah.
That's what my buddies, my brothers used to, after they run in and smack me in the face, and when I was a kid, and then they would go, "Look at the stupid look on your face."
Yeah.
That's the feeling that you'll have. Everybody around you will be like, "Look at them." They'll be pointing.
It's just a wake up call for people. It's. I mean, I don't like. I mean, listen. I want what's best for humanity and for people, and
right.
I'm not trying to rain in anybody's parade, but it's just, we're just trying to help people out and say, hey, this is the reality of what you're dealing with. And you can, once you acknowledge that it is a fantasy fiction that people are trying to sell you, whether it's Hollywood or your church or your friends or whoever, right? Like once you acknowledge that, then you can understand, well, okay, I'm going to be a smart, critical thinker here, and I'm going to make a different plan for my life. I can start building my life based on reality.
Right. You can build in a cruel universe that's there's objective reality, and then there's other things, and you're going to do much better with them, with your house built on a solid foundation of truth. And I know there's some sad truths in this world. You know,
Yeah. Like we talk about the predatory world, and it's not to
yeah,
scare
the
anybody. It's just,
predatory, overly
yeah,
taxed people where they want to take that from you in a second.
yeah, and again, I hate to be negative, but it's usually going to be your friends or family that you got to watch out for the most. And
Yeah, you got to watch out for
um,
that. Think forward into
I
things too.
mean, yeah, I mean, especially your family. It's so weird. It's such a what's the word I'm looking for? Paradox or irony or whatever.
Yeah,
But
paradox when all of a sudden you're on
uh,
bad ends with that thing. I went through that, and
yeah,
you know how
your own
relationship,
family is going to be
yeah,
the
the
ones you got to watch out
relationship
for.
bonds that they talked about, those family relationship bonds that you had all your life, or they're built on trust and family and Jesus and and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Fast that goes away when there's some inheritance or
yeah, oh, yeah,
doing the right thing, or you know, taking care of your mom when she's dying, or your dad when he's dying, and stuff like that. And families get shaken hard during those times.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
you
right.
see the true evil. Like I know you're going through that with your family, and over a stupid house that you know, basically just you want to keep because it reminds you of your parents. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah. It's
want,
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah,
but there's this duality in
it
families that
causes me a lot of stress. That situation has caused me a lot of stress, and because of but in a lot of ways it was kind of good because I realized how crazy these people are,
yeah,
but
where's
they
that
want to,
magic
they want to
heart,
project and call me crazy, they want to project and call me crazy.
magic
Yeah,
electrical bond that, you know, they said if there's a magic electrical bond of love between and unity between humans, there should be that between the blood bond of a family that so DNA close that there should. But then you see and realize that, man, these people hate me and they talk behind my back, and 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 I really don't like half of their personalities, and and
yeah,
obviously the 50% they got from mom and dad, I don't know what they did to that, but they ruined it.
yeah.
And I mean, where is that closeness when it comes to, you know, like I said, when the insurance policy rolls down? There is
It's
no close.
insane. It's insane. It's always the people that don't have talent. Those are the ones you got to really.
Yeah,
The
they're
ones that I know, I've noticed that in my life. It's the ones that don't have the talent or work ethic or
yeah, I mean, pretty
they
much
want something for nothing. Those are kind of people that they tend to be. They're
I
always
mean,
trying to find an advantage over you. They're always trying to prey on others.
mhm. I started making friends based on those things. It's like, who could I trust if I was dying, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
who could I trust not to kill me? You know, who's the, you know, and those are simple decisions. You know what I do when, you know, when I'm picking a friend, or I'm hanging out with someone, and it's like, hey man, reciprocal altruism is a big thing, and that's a pretty good indicator to a human's uh, um, virtue and morals. You know, it's just the simplest little thing. Like, I'll pick up the check this time, you pick up the check next time. I don't want to have to remind you, and you don't want to have to remind me. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not so hard to remember those things. Like you said, when guys with gator arms, and it's
Oh
usually,
man, arthritis. Yeah, they have arthritis when it's time for the check to come
yeah,
in.
usually you start seeing it. It's your married friends, and then that thing happens where, okay, I got to end up paying for somebody else's B, and
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed when I'm around those kind of people.
yeah, and that's like, wow.
I don't
It's
like
like,
having friends like that. I don't like having friends like that. I don't.
yeah, I don't know how many people in my life I've run into that told me they loved me, and you know, they were my best friend. And then first time it came for to screw me over, that's like, wow, what happened to all that love? I
Oh,
mean,
it's crazy.
that's not just with women. That's, good friends that I grew up with.
Yeah. It's a good way to tell is if like let's say you help the person do something and then now you need a favor. If you're ever hesitant to ask them for help, then there's something wrong there. You should not in that situation. you should not feel hesitant to ask for help when you've helped this person a lot, you know.
Right. And
And
if there
for
was
some
that
reason you feel hesitant. Yeah. And
that
if they ever said no, if you did ask and they said no, then just forget them. Just get rid of them, just delete them.
I mean, sometimes you have to test those boundaries with other people too. And if there is that love that they talk about and that true, I've never seen it in this world. Uh, I'm pretty old too, and I have a large family, and I've been through a lot of relationships, and I searched for that thing, and I couldn't find it. And that was men and women, and I've
Yeah.
never, I've had friends for half my life that swore up and down that, you're my bro, man, you're my buddy, I love you. Every time he was drunk, I love you, man. It's like, but when it came down to those critical moments in life where you need someone to have your back,
Yeah.
no one showed
I've
up.
had people not only not have my back, but they made it worse. They made things worse. Like how much of a piece of shit can you possibly be?
Right, with that casual cruelty, people get
Right.
when you're
Right.
down, you'll see your friends surrounding you and help kicking. It's like, whoa, wait a
They made
second.
it worse. That's why I had to get away from a lot of these people. They just made it worse. Things they would say, and it's like, get it. It's like this kind of shit, and you're making it worse by the stuff that you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you got. We talk about those S tests that Sandman always talks about with women, but man, you have to apply that. Men do that should, and if you're not doing that, if you're not once in a while testing your friends for loyalty and honor, uh, and they don't pass that test, then that's what you want. You want someone that's going to pass the test of loyalty and honor. And my ex-wife couldn't do it. Most of my friends couldn't do it. And I have at my age right now, I have a certain group of trusted friends that I know they pass the test of loyalty and honor every single time. And
Yeah.
with me, I keep those. Those are codes. Those are codes that I live by. And
Yeah. I don't even think you have to test them. I think you just have to observe them and
yeah, you just
think
observe.
about what.
There's
It goes back to the
you don't have
critical
to
thinking,
test
too,
them,
thinking
but
about how they're interacting with you, what
react
they're
in certain
saying, what their lifestyle.
Yeah, like the dinner thing, or the watch how they their ethics, their morals. If they'll point it out. They'll tell you what extent they're willing to. They'll bend some ethics and morals if you violate. How many times you've been at a bar and with a friend and everything, or been out at a thing, and one of the secretaries started talking to you and everything, and it's like, and then the next thing you know, your buddies say, "Man, you hitting on her? Yeah, that's my girl." And well, that tells
Yeah.
you a lot right there. It's like,
Oh
no,
yeah.
I wasn't
Oh yeah.
hitting on her. I was simply talking, and we were talking business, and you being jealous like that and ready to chest up on me tells me a lot about your character. I mean, jealousy and all that mate guarding and that in really in here in Mgtow we get that. MGTOWs are willing to, and I think this is what bothers you a lot. MGTOWs are going against other MGTOWs just for so they can stick their chest out uh, and try to climb to the top of the YouTube MGTOW mill and be the
Yeah.
Neo, and they're willing to lie, steal, cheat, and beat other men for that. And that's one of those tests. It's like you're going to go through it in this thing, and there's going to be very few guys that stick around for 20 years here.
Like the Mgtow All Star team,
What's that?
the Mgtow All Stars.
All stars, yeah.
I like to joke around about that, like oh, this guy's got a lot of subs, so he must be a great Mgtow. He's a super
Think about what
Mgtow.
they're willing to
Like, get
say.
the fuck out of here! I'm like, get the hell out of here! It's like, what kind of ideas is he talking about? Are they talking about? And it's like the guys that have the most subs. It seems like they're the ones always talking about. They're like, they're the top Mgtow. They're the Mgtow lights.
Yeah, the
You know,
Mgtow.
'cause they're right in the, yeah, they're not really.
Oh, they're willing to bend their morals and ethics and violate some of the Mgtow rules to cater to the
Yeah,
Joe Buddies and the Gemmas and the half Mgtows or the halflings. If
right.
you're halfling around here, you're not a Mgtow. That's just frat boy garbage. And if you're PUA in it, that's not Mgtow. That's frat boy garbage. That you can go. That's every college boy out there is practicing that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing new. There's no existential enlightenment in that. And if these guys think that there's existential enlightenment in that, I mean, I'm kind of like, you're going to have a lot of trouble graduating from that school. Maybe you should think about cheating.
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about sub C IQs here.
Yeah, that's why I went on. That's why I decided to go on with you. It's like, because I respect you a lot, and I just, quite frankly, I don't see any strong Mgtow channels out there. Just, they either, they have some issues that are just, that one guy that called in, he's a nutcase. It was
Right.
that guy that
Yeah.
he
Oh, yeah.
called, and then you got the London guys. They're just a little softer and traditional conservative guys, and they're not bad guys, but they're just, they're trad cucks. And then
Yeah.
you got the married Mgtows like Dare and Values, and they're just all over the place. And
Yeah.
the only guys I respect are really not doing videos.
Yeah.
Well, Warhart does a good video. I like him, but
Yeah.
most of these guys are just a disaster. They're just
Oh,
like,
yeah. They're just waiting for that in the wall to pop up so they can tell us all that they can go Mgtow on Mgtow and tell us all that we're wrong. Like Nico, it's like,
right, like Nico. He's in that. Yeah, I was listening to some of his. Like, dude, he ruined so many podcasts, man. Because I listened to a lot of your old stuff, and then he comes in and just fucking destroys it, just ruins it.
yeah, he
Because
did
he's a
some.
total freaking pussy. I mean, I don't know the way to put it. The
Yeah,
guy's a total puss. He's a total softy, and
yeah, he's a
uh,
softy, and he was always simping, and
yeah, it's always simping and always like into this popularity thing. And I'm talking to CS Mgtow. And
yeah,
like, who cares? Like, who's CS Mgtow? He's a freaking yo-yo head. And
yeah,
whatever. These guys are all popularity. They just want the popularity. They're not in
yeah.
it for the right reason.
They want to be the next Neo, and they don't have
Right,
the
right.
skills or the like you said, critical thinking. They're not going to be the next Neo. They may be the next high pressure salesman that's popular, and that's you got to think about as you become older and you got to think about principles over personalities.
That's right. That's right. No, you just hit it on the head. That's exactly what it is. They don't
Yeah,
have the principles. They don't have the foundations.
they don't have the foundations for downright, and to come around here in a well-formed organization like this and shit on the people that that put it together and did all that hard work back in the 2000s and early 2000s there uh, to uh, to to just think that you can come in here and MGTOW's going to change because you have this dynamic personality and and you're gonna tell people lies and disregard the risk and maybe put some men at risk and
Mhm.
not tell the truth. If you think you're gonna come around here and do that, that's a crime. That's one of those ethical crimes that people should be punished for.
Yeah, giving out bad advice. Like you don't like. I mean, I'm gonna be 50 in a few years. You're gonna be 60 in a few years. I mean, we're not spring chickens here. I mean, we got gray hairs and we've been through a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, you're not listening to a 25-year-old kid that hasn't experienced
Right.
life. I'd be very wary of listening to anyone that's under 40. I would really be careful
I was
Really
gonna
wouldn't,
I was
wouldn't take them too seriously. I
I,
hate to say that, but I think it's generally a true statement. Like you got to
yeah,
wait till people are in their 40s or 50s to even start listening to anything they have to say.
I was gonna clip that clip out of that kid talking and put it up and break it down, and you can listen to the horror of what he was saying, and
Oh
uh,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't want to embarrass nobody that's coming in new to the Mgtow, but man, that
yeah.
uh, if you listen
He's
to
got
that,
a terrible attitude. He's got a terrible attitude. He's gonna get. He better get some counseling and
yeah,
get some help because he's got an angry. He's angry and he's got a lot of his guys like him end up going to jail for something,
right,
and they're in jail for life.
right, yeah,
It's guys like him with that anger. You're holding on to all that anger.
yeah,
Wow, that's very. You're going to self-destruct. That's self-destruction right there. The attitudes that he has, he's making fun of people's skin color. He's making fun of people's voices. I've heard him on other podcasts. This guy roaming
yeah,
around. He's giving out terrible information to men.
yeah.
Like I said, we're not here to. I'm not here to. Criticize him. Too much. But I just hope he gets help for his issue.
Right. That's where we sit back. And I think SFM had a great line. He sat back and he was in the 4 years. He just didn't have much to say and he sucked it all in and he made his decisions. And then one day he came on and he couldn't take it no more. And it was these MGTOW lights that were bothering him. It was like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's right.
and it was like he couldn't take it no more. He's like, no,
No,
this thing's helping me out. And I can't put that at risk. And you're putting me at risk with that
right.
MGTOW stuff. And it's like I can't go down that line. I got things to do. Like I was saying, when I think about what I could see SFM doing in his life, he's changing the world. He has his destination. He understands his destiny and he understands his spot in this world. And we all have that
Yeah,
spot in this world. He doesn't, man. I think about what happened to me and how much more I could have been, and that was from letting the world screw my destiny. It's like,
yeah, and you make a decision and you live with it, and then you can make adjustments along the way to whatever suits your needs. You
yeah,
can't be
yeah,
just
I still make those adjustments, those life choices, and everything, whatever suits my needs, and those things. Those are
yeah,
easy decisions to make, and
right. I
the
used
big,
to do that all the time. I used to ask people, "What do you think if I do this? What would you think of what do you think of that?" It's like, you know what? They're only going to tell you what's in their best interest most
they're
of the time. They don't even know you. You should know yourself better than anybody. So the decisions that you're making are
around.
based on firsthand information of who you are and knowing yourself, and then you'll make better decisions. What I'm trying to get at, you'll make better. You'll benefit yourself, right? Because if you start asking other people's opinions and
Right.
this and that, you're not going to get good information from them because they're
Yeah.
not even coming from a MGTOW paradigm anyway. They're coming
Yeah.
from a blue pill simp outlook on life. So right there, you're going to get shitty information from the top.
Go around them blue pill guys that hang around the garage down there with the 12 pack and a $20 bill and say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. What should you think and they'll have some ideas.
Right, right.
You ain't
That's what
leaving.
always got me in trouble was listening to simps. That always got, and at the end of the day, that their ideology on life always got me. It always ended up with a negative expectation. It was always negative. It was never positive. Whenever I listened to myself, it mostly turned out positive.
Yeah, when I did those things where I asked myself the right questions, I examined the situations, and I sat down and did an introspection about my what part I'll play in that, what's coming up, and I got a goal, and I said and did those things. It usually worked out pretty good, where I was correct, and I had an intuition about how these things are going to go. But when you introduce others to that, things are going to go differently, and they're not going to be. You'll be like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. So that's the whole idea. When you have those critical thinking skills, you can kind of do the introspections. You can make better decisions. You don't
Right,
have to consult with other people. Like that's
right,
a mistake. Like you consult if you want to consult with somebody, it should be someone again that's really prospering in life, and generally, I would say only people that are not married. You
right.
don't want to really consult with married people if you're, obviously you're
You know,
MGTOW because You know, every now and then you'll get someone that's really smart and they can teach you on a topic, maybe, but you want to be flexible. But in general, you really need to stay away from their opinions because their outlook on life is I got to support my family and
family,
they're
yeah.
everything to me and my wife loves me and all this kind of bullshit, you know.
Yeah, the root of all corruption. What I would do for my family, and you know, there's good reason why kings of the past, you know, in the Egyptian times and everything, they don't do it no more. But they had eunuchs around. You know why they kept eunuchs around for advice? Because the eunuch's not thinking about that stuff. It's not about his family. It's not about sex.
Wow, that's a whole show right there.
Yeah, we at least you can
Did a
ask.
show on them. Yeah.
Yeah, they kept eunuch wise men around and monks and stuff like
Were
that.
they born that way? Were they born that way, or I don't get it? Like,
No, there was a way of making them eunuchs and everything. They'll take the smartest and the brightest of people, and then they use usually the janissaries or you know something like that. But they kept people around that didn't have those sort of interests and didn't have those sort of for a good reason because those things warp your thinking.
yeah.
When you
Yeah.
wanted to make a decision that was a you know a good decision, you bring that guy around and say, and he's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about his wife. He's not thinking about what he would do for his family. He's thinking about. He's just thinking like a normal person would. And that's where you're going to get some good advice. A guy that doesn't do that, and you know, the Mgtow, we put that stuff away for a reason, so we can have that kind of thinking, where we're thinking critically about everything. But like you said, you know, we all deal with it. You know, the Mgtows, we have to deal with it. There's married men everywhere, and you're going to have married men that are friends, and you're going to have that jealousy pop up when you're just having a simple conversation with Jane, the sandwich girl, and he's like, "Dude, you're hitting on my woman. I'm after her." It's like, yeah, phew, don't need that stuff. I don't need to see that jealousy.
No, that's why it's not. I don't think it's good for Mgtow to be around, you know, married people in general. Like you don't like. I don't know. I don't think it's good. I think you want to be like we know we have our support group on Hangouts and on Discord, and
Yeah,
it makes a difference, you know. And then I have a couple friends, but they're you know my friends I hang out with out here. He's not married, you know, or he's you know he was a guy that was divorced. But he's in his 70s, you know, whatever. He's an older guy, like.
yeah, older
And
guys.
then that's it. Yeah, I don't want to be around married people. I don't want to be around them. I really don't. I don't think I have a lot in common with them, and obviously don't have a lot in common with them. You know, but you know, I don't even just like outside of their marriage. Like I don't like the kind of aura that they give off is very effeminate and.
Yeah, you're walking on eggshells around this girl all the time, and if it's like that's the biggest problem. Even though it's like I have no intention of effing your wife, really.
Right. That's how they think. I mean,
yeah.
I'll be in the grocery store, and you know, I'm kind of a tall guy. I'm built well, whatever, and you know, but I kind of, you know, but I see these guys with their attractive girlfriends or wives, and they like kind of look at me like they think I'm looking at their girlfriend or something. I don't know. Maybe it's in my head, but I don't think it is.
That still happens. Like,
I kind of see them looking at me sometimes. Like, dude, I don't give a shit about your stupid freaking girlfriend or wife. I care less what she looks like. I'm not interested in ever like you know checking her out or I'm not. You know, I don't give a shit. You know, it's like especially with you being there.
Yeah, I had to go through that. Me and a friend went out for beers, an old friend and went out for beers and a burger one day, and just a few years ago, and then there was a girl, and she was like trying to get away from the rest of the crowd, and I said, "No, these people are pretty weird, huh?" And she's like, "Man, I'm just getting hit on and everything." So she's talking, and then my buddy was like, "Hey, man, I was after that one." It's like you're so
yeah.
I was saying
what a retard, huh?
the reason she was over here because she noticed that I wasn't an asshole.
Right. These guys are like programmed. It's almost like they're programmed, like they're robots or zombies, you know, and and they're programmed to act around women. It's very awkward. And
yeah, one of my first videos ever was the Mgtow bar there, where it's like you're sitting at a bar. There's a there's an MRA hitting on a girl over here. There's a PUA going real hard at it. And like, how does that, do you visualize that from a female perspective? And who do you think she's going to talk to? The Mgtow's like, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Well, women do that too, you know, and
Yeah. Well, you know where she's going to be safe is she's going to be safe with the Mgtow, but that puts on a
yeah.
whole. It's like,
I tell you kind of a weird story. Like, I thought this is like one of the weirdest things that happened. Kind of weird, but I'll share it real quick. But like, I was at a funeral, and you know, I lost someone close to me, and so it was like my third or fifth cousin, like real distant cousin, and she's like really attractive, right? Which is no big deal, but she's just really attractive. I'm just telling you the background of the story. And so you know, I hadn't seen her in a long time, so I gave her a hug, and I was really thinking. I was thinking about the funeral.
yeah,
And then like a few moments later, like just out of instinct, I went to go hug her again. Just out of instinct, it was just a thing, a grieving thing, you know.
mm-hmm.
And she goes, "I already hugged you," or something. She said something like that, and I just gave her this death stare. Like, what do you think? I'm trying to hug you because you're attractive? It's like you're like you're distant family, but it's like, how could you say that to me? I just looked at her.
Yeah, there's
like I gave her this death stare. It was really it was out of character for me to do that to anybody.
Yeah, there's sexuality.
But I was really disappointed and upset at her, like to think this is a grieving situation. I hadn't seen you in a long time. Yeah, okay, so I hugged you a second time. Like that's how. It's not because I'm trying to get a kinky thing going here or something here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to. You know what I mean? It was part of my grieving. I needed someone to. You know what I'm saying? And it really bothered me. It still bothers me to this day, that whole interaction.
Right, because she was guarded, and
yeah, she was guarded because she's very attractive. She's like a very, 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 very pretty, attractive woman, right?
She gets it all.
She probably gets it all the time, but you know, for me, it was kind of like an off-put thing because I don't do that kind of, you know.
Yeah, she should be able to, see the monk kind of sticks out where in the crowd.
Oh, I gave her this look, Joe. It was like, I gave her this look like, you know who you're talking to? I said, you know who you're talking to? It's like yeah. Oh, it was like a weird thing, but I just wanted to share it. I thought it was kind of relevant to what we're talking about because
them sort of little peculiar things happen in life all the time. It's like it's and you got to deal with them. And it's like
you got so now and you know what? When I'm around women, I am very guarded. I don't do that hug shit. I don't do that hug shit. Like people, the women I work with, they always want to give hugs and I'll never initiate a hug. I will never initiate a hug in a work situation. I won't do it. I won't do it at the gym. I will never do it. They got to initiate the hug. I won't. I learned from that lesson. That really pissed me off. I gave her that look. I said, I learned from that lesson. So I don't initiate anything with women. Not even a little hug from a family member. I don't care who it is.
You know my delusion when I told you about that. That's about that. People don't touch me. I don't let people touch me. I don't come that close to people.
Right.
Keep this illusion that when I take off my shirt, there's a hole in my back.
Yeah.
And see the universe.
I'm not going to make myself vulnerable to that. In other words, I'm not going to make myself vulnerable in a predatory world. I'm not going to do it.
That's about that because no one's ever touched this. No one's ever did. I don't like that. I don't do them things. People don't touch my back. That's like I don't know what's back there because it doesn't concern me. And then people don't touch my back. But if you're around people, eventually someone's going to grab hold and they're going to do that. And it's like, ooh. It's like, let's not do that. That can lead to horrible things. People are going to it's like,
I just remember that. It's just something that I always remembered, like you were saying that one thing. Remember the point of view, like line of view, like that woman, you were trying to watch the TV and this woman kept blocking the TV.
Yeah, she did that weird thing. We were at a coffee shop and we're all watching TV and she went and she sat in front of the TV and it started giggling like, oh, you guys are looking. No, we're not looking at you. We're looking at the
I know. These women are so like, they just in their own little la la land. They think everyone's like checking them out and everyone's looking at them. And
about that. She went over to another person over there. You can hear everything that's conversational wise, and it's a small coffee shop. And me and the other guy that I hang around with, and there was another guy that I like and everything. We're we're listening, and he goes, "Did you hear what she said? That like she went over the other. Those guys are just staring at me." It's like, no,
Mhm.
we're not. We're trying to watch the news. We're here drinking coffee, trying to watch the news because we're workmen waiting for a call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just that's why we don't do those things as Mgtow. We have higher standards. You know, it's like be a man above reproach. I mean, that's a very accurate.
Be a man
These
above reproach.
fucking
Yeah,
hyenas that are gonna uh, 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 drool upon the sight of a woman. I mean, we don't. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. The
Well,
woman.
you know what I mean. But most men don't understand that. They're too programmed, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's programming from media generally.
I had an incident in that same coffee shop. There was this silly woman was in there, and she was sitting by the door. And then when I walked in, I noticed the door was busted, and the door stayed open. And then people were walking through the door, and everybody that walked through the door, she would go, "Hey, close the door." Well, you're born in the barn. She was just being casually cruel to everybody because she had that opportunity to do that. So I had my tool belt on, and I ran over there and I slammed it. I kind of slammed it, and I fixed the hinge. The spring had popped in the self closer, so I put a new one on, and it took me about 10 minutes or so, and then she was so mad at me after that.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, I fixed that problem. I walked by and I was like, I fixed that problem. Because it's so irritating. She was yelling at like people walking through the door that had no clue that the door was going to stay open.
Yeah, yeah. It's something, man.
But that's that getting off on that and just being like that mean high school girl. I mean,
Well, but
half the shows on TV now are about mean high school girls, and they think that's fat or cool.
right, casually cruel.
I ruined Karen's day. I did. I was a screwdriver and a part from my van.
Yeah, internet's pretty pathetic these days. I mean, it's so watered down, stupid, and that's why it's good to do. Like I like doing shows with you because at least I get to talk to someone that's intelligent. Yeah, it's like, you watch all these videos. These guys are just, I don't know. They're like a bunch of knuckleheads. They want to talk about aliens all day. It's not like you're not living in reality. It's like
Not
yeah,
reality. Yeah.
yeah. They talk about these metaphysical beings and the
Right.
devil.
Ghost and
Like I
alien.
seen a guy today. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like before, when I was a Christian, like I saw this sign. Like I have been a Christian for I don't know over 3 years now. But like I left all that religious bullshit. But like, so I seen a guy who had a shirt like that said, "I love Satan," and I just laughed at it. I thought it was funny. Like 3-4 years ago, I would have been like offended,
Yeah, yeah.
And
If this isn't true, this isn't true
yeah,
either. This not be
and
true.
you got all these YouTube channels, and all they do is seem to talk about is like good and evil and
Yeah,
and,
people
and
get
all
all
this
worked up.
metaphysical Satan and Jesus and aliens are coming and the world's ending and it's just so like I can't take it anymore. That's why I don't want to. I don't even watch YouTube anymore. I can't watch it. There's just all a bunch of horseshit.
Yeah,
The whole thing is watered down stupidity.
right. Yeah, it's like we live in this universe. We notice that there's really nothing out there except for some rocks and stuff, and some are colder and some are hotter than others, and we have balls of burning helium and everything. And they talk about these aliens, and my first question is, do you believe that there's another universe, a parallel universe where their universe was created ahead of our universe, and that would make them more advanced? And can you show me some proof of that? Because I'm into the science of this thing, and if you can
Yeah,
show proof of that, then I would believe in aliens. But so
yeah,
far, I think right now the universe was created it was created. We're all created at the same time, and we have basically the same intellect, so that would inhibit us from traveling at warp speed across time and space to visit other universes. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we may evolve to that. As I do believe that we are because we are the gods on this planet, and we may evolve to
That's right.
navigate other planets. And And that would just
We're
be
the apex predator. You always say it. We're the apex predator.
yeah, that would be consistent with our us being the apex predator, us being these temporal beings that are growing with time. We're evolving, and what we would become. I don't know. That's one of those unanswerable questions. But I haven't seen any proof of Bigfoot or Yetis and I haven't
Yeah.
seen any proof of aliens, and I haven't seen any proof of intelligence on this life in this planet either. But no, I have. But that's a joke. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and all these like metaphysical type like occurrences, and
it's fun. It's
it's
fun.
so stupid.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid. The whole
We used
thing
to
is
talk
stupid.
about when I first came around. It's fun to talk about those things. I used to talk about Mel's hole, and that's where you know what Mel's hole is, that hole that's somewhere in America that's really deep, and they can't figure out how deep it is, and it's like that's where the what do they call those lizard people crawled out of it. It's fun to do those things once in a while, but you got to know it's not real.
Yeah, exactly. The whole the reptilian theory, and
It's
oh my
it's
god, this is so
what it is.
stupid. Like how could you? Yeah, and they're just doing it to make money, and you know, and mostly, and they're just trying to get bad information out there and
Right.
make people like scare people. There's a lot of different agendas, reason why they do it, but
Yeah, Sandman did a video the other day on the new chess playing girl. The thing that she was the new chess player, and his title was she's the best chess player in the world, and
yeah,
he started going on about like how that was somehow bad or anything. And I says the first thing I said, that's fantasy fiction. That's
yeah,
made.
exactly.
You're basing your whole idea about something that's ethically right or wrong in your position about something that's fantasy fiction. You got to separate yourself from that fantasy fiction and say,
Yeah,
no, this person doesn't exist. And this person doesn't exist in a normal state of affairs. And I'll say a normal state of affairs because there are really non-state of affairs. And it's how I discern conspiracy theory from actual reality. That's a non-state of affair. That's not in this real world. Can you show me this in the real world that I live in? And no, most people can't, because most chess players that are really really good from Gary Fisher, the Kasmanov, to are men. It's like, and I know to get mad about something that exists in a non-state of affairs is ridiculous. That's like what I say is like, at least I'm not in Detroit. At least I'm not in Detroit as a non-state affair. It doesn't mean anything, but people do those things all the time, and it drives me crazy. It's like, if you're going to
yeah,
draw up an analogy, please let the analogy be a scientific reality.
yeah. That's right. They don't have the evidence either. I mean, it's
Right. And it's like, yeah, in Mgtow's, I thought that's what Mgtow was about, living in the world which I exist in, actually, rather than the world. And I think that's why we're attuned to nature too, is I can take certain truths from nature by going and examining things. This is the truth about how things is going to happen, because there's only so many proteins, there's so many carbon chains, and this is what happens, and this is going to happen in my surroundings. And I can base my life on those certain truths. And if you examine them hard enough and think about what it means in this world, you can develop a very rational point of view. But people do all sorts of, and they were talking about the aliens, and they're talking. It's like,
yeah,
it's fun to believe in, but let's just leave it there. It's fun to
yeah,
have fantasy about these things, and it's fun to live or get some escapism and watch a TV show about Bigfoots and Yetis. We had a just this week, I read a story of one of these governors wants to have like a certain day for where people can go out and hunting season for Bigfoot. Well, that's a great idea. People are going to be running around shooting each other just because he's basing some anti-fact on some fantasy fiction stories he's read on YouTube, probably, and or seen on YouTube and read on Facebook or something. It's like, that's a horrible idea. And these people are running our country.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all bullshit. The whole UFO thing and
We
close encounters of they're always
yeah,
abducted by get the hell out of here. You're abducted by aliens, man.
yeah. We see the simplest little things that make up believe there's no such thing as love, and there's no such thing as you have this magic connection with another person. She's not going to complete you. There's a lot of work you have to do in that, and it's very riskful. Them are truths. Them are based on scientific facts.
Yeah.
But they look at us Mgtows like we're crazy or something. Like, oh man, that's very nihilistic. No, it's not nihilistic. I'm not being. When have you ever known me to be nihilistic? It's like them are facts.
The nihilists were in the Big Lebowski, Joe. They were the guys that
The nihilists were in the Big Lebowski. When have you never known me that?
they put that little. What was that animal they put into the Lebowski's when he was taking a bath?
I finally got to watch that last year with you guys. I was like, I missed it, and all the years everybody go the Big Lebowski, and I'd be like, that's one of those movies that every time I tried to sit down and watch it, something happened.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in the movie theaters. I remember my roommate, because I don't know. I made a couple bets. I lost a lot of money. He goes, oh, go watch. He's from Ireland. This guy. He's from Ireland. He's an Ireland exchange student. And he goes, oh, you got to go watch the Big Lebowski. And so I went to the movie that day. And I watched in the movie theater. It was like 97 or 98 or whatever the hell it was. And it was a good movie. The theaters.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mgtow in that. I mean, his character, the way he looked about life. There was the feminist in there, and how she was trying to trap him at the end, and it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of Mgtow to learn in the Big Lebowski, and you can take those points and everything. It's humor, it's satirical humor, and satirical humor is negation. So you can learn about life if you just if you negate those things. And but it's funny, it's entertaining. But that's that's what I'm saying. These things are funny and entertaining. But after that, I mean, we have to learn to separate from those things and get back to, a state of affairs in the world that really exists.
Yeah.
I think that's half the problem with half the world. Most of the people live in fantasy fiction land that I talk
No
about.
question. The social media stuff is ridiculous. Like Twitter and Instagram, and you see these people, they're just crazy.
Yeah.
But that's not reality. See, those people are not living in reality.
They're not living.
They're living in a fantasy fiction land, like most people. They're concerned about paying their bills and making sure they do a good job at work, and if they're ready for work and they get their rest. And these people are out partying and acting like a bunch of yahoos, and they got all these followers, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it really is.
Right.
Like I said, I shut off all that. I don't take any of that stuff in.
Yeah.
The only thing I watch now is basketball because I'm betting games, and that's it. I just watch sports. I actually don't watch any. I don't watch anything. I've been watching like the YouTube, like Mafia, old
kind of show,
like old school Mafia guys. But they're a bunch of losers for the most part. So I don't really pay attention to them too much either. But
I mean, that's pretty much it. I'll just pick a favorite show, and then I'll try to deal with the gynocentrism in it. Like right now, I'm watching Fringe. I mean, there's a lot of interesting topics in there, and I'm not going to internalize it so much where I hate all the characters because they're strong women or something, and it's just something that I do to pass time as I fall asleep in my chair. I mean, I don't internalize those things, and there's a lot of conspiracy theory and garbage in that. And it helps me when trying to identify. And when I'm talking to someone and they're going off, or one of these Trumpists that are trying to convince me that there's people out there that are drinking the blood of babies and stuff like that, I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, I know. And even that stuff they were saying about Biden and with the stuff that he was doing, is addict, sex addict. Like you don't have any proof really. You're going based on.
You don't have any.
You can't judge. Like you have no proof. You have no. It's all this. These people are crazy, and they're just trying to create this agenda. Like both sides are idiotic to me. But
I
They're
kind of
trying
think
to
like,
create
shoot,
this like war. Yeah, they're trying to call these people like, yeah, exactly. They're drinking adrenochrome, and I mean, I
yeah.
don't know if I believe in
If
any of
you
that shit.
know
I
this
think a
thing
lot
to
of that's
be
just made
true,
up. I think a lot of it's just made up.
right? It's all made up.
This is,
But my point is, if you know this thing to be true, shouldn't you be talking to a police officer instead of trying to
right,
convince me
right,
it's true?
right. That
Really,
stuff should be like,
you're telling me
right. It's
about
like
your moral
you
character.
have no evidence. Yeah, you have no evidence. You have no evidence. There's not enough evidence. You can't. Those are pretty. Those are pretty crazy claims to say about people. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty crazy claims, and you can, and that's what I say. You can watch a show like Fringe, and you can see all that conspiracy theory and everything, but if your mind should be, well, this is just fantasy fiction, and this is how they present it. This is the rhetoric they present with it. This is how they get, and at the end of it, you go, that was pretty crazy, and it's just fiction. You can say that to yourself, then you can do that self introspection as a Mgtow and go, I'm a sane person. I don't believe that. And it tells me how people, because actually the QAnon thing was taken right from Fringe. Uh, uh, and I was like, well, that's how crazy people start believing crazy things, and crazy Christians start believing. And we've been doing this for tens of thousands of years, where we make up our special buddy friend in the sky, and I know how hard life is, but you can develop a manner of thinking. Like I says, my new thoughts, my new philosophy about life is, I look at, and I have a place in this world, and that quells all that existential garbage. What was my place in this world? I can think about my place in this world and the things that I've affected in a positive way. And without me here, a lot of things wouldn't happen. There would have been a butterfly effect in this world. It's like, yeah, that quells my angst, and it makes me smile when I think back on my life. And it gives me, remember that time when I helped that person fix their tire on the highway? That's pretty good. You did a good job, Joe. That could have led to like them getting home on time, and could have led to some other things. And it was good. I think about those things. My place in this world was to be there at that point. And my destiny was about that. That's a better way of thinking.
mm-hmm.
Keep in reality. It's like, what was my place? I
Yeah.
know every guy, prune juice. What was your destiny? The one thing that you had, whiskey. What was your destiny in this world? To be at that point at that time, and we all have these little things that, and I was there, and I did a good job, and that little smile comes over my face, and and it's like, that was why I'm on this. That was my purpose on this world. That's my purpose. And now I have that thing, the biggest question of what's life? Well, that was my purpose. Now all questions are answered.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that makes me feel better, because I don't have to think about, things I don't know about what's going to happen after I die. I'm sure, people have all kinds of thoughts about that, and they're scared, and they're afraid, and they fear. Every time you get in one of those situations, just ask yourself, what was my purpose today of being here? What happened? Examine your day. What was my purpose? I went shopping. I said hello to the lady. I told her she did a great job. Maybe that's my purpose. And what else happened today? Oh, I talked to my buddy. I tried to give him a shirt, but it was too small for him. I got to figure out someone to give a shirt to.
Yeah.
And that was my purpose, to be there. And I had a purpose. I had a destiny. And man, I went home. I listened to a lecture a day, and I'm trying not to do 3 or 4 of them now and get lost. and
Yeah.
Coffee. I made some delicious Kenyan AA coffee with a little hint of Jamaican in it. Had 2 cups. And
Nice.
I shared it with a friend too, and he had
Yeah.
one.
Find out what you like. Like you said, you're doing the things that you like to do and makes you happy. That's important.
My friend said, "This is fucking delicious," and I said, "I know."
Mhm.
that
I,
that
yeah, I'm starting to get into like making salads and soups because I'm trying to eat healthier, and It's been great. It's been fun making these salads. And today I made a salmon salad. I had cucumbers, tomatoes, oranges, little sliced almonds.
Yeah,
So
that
like when
wild.
I go shopping now, I go shopping with the intention of making a salad because it's just I feel better. I
Yeah,
feel better than crap I was eating before, and pizzas. Not that I was eating probably too much like pizzas,
I am all out of fish now
but
too.
yeah, stick with the salads and the soups. I think that's a good way to lose weight. But you have to mix it up though, because you don't want to eat the same foods. So sometimes you throw in a steak or chicken or fish, and you just mix it up a little bit. But salads get a little old after a while.
Yeah,
So
lettuce.
you gotta mix it up.
Yeah. So it's hey, do it your way, but keep in
Yeah,
reality. I like guys that keep in reality. Most of my friends do it, and I have some
yeah,
zany friends that I like. Yeah, he's entertaining because he believes, and he's. I mean, I give everybody their lead way. The
yeah,
chains of them chains. I give a little bit of a couple feet on that, and because it makes things interesting, and that's my
yeah,
power. I'm super interesting.
yeah, yeah. No, good. You gotta keep life interesting for sure, and then
You keep it interesting, but keep it in reality. And that's a lot of problem right now, as we can see in our politics and our thing. There's people that just, and we should be fighting for, when we fight for this Mgtow thing, we should be putting it out there and saying, like, look at the shape of our senates and our government and everything. And you people are living in fantasy fiction world, and
right, right.
we're no longer going to tolerate it. And that's the way we should be saying it. We're no longer going to tell, we're going to tell on you. And every time I see it, I'm going to tell on them. Like, it's like, well, that scares the hell out of them. But I have like a lot of, guys that'll agree with me.
Yeah, yeah. It's not good to waste your time on, are the aliens coming? Or is it, yeah, exactly. Live in reality. It's like, or these guys that are waiting for a unicorn and
Oh,
all this
God.
kind of crazy stuff, and that's like I said, that's why the heartburn thing. I hope he deletes his video. I don't know if he still has
Yeah.
it up.
Well, leave the good ones up. That way he was talking Mgtow, so maybe
But,
someone can learn from
yeah,
that.
but that one video with unicorn hunting is like he ends the video.
Or not, he needs to delete that one. Nico needs to delete the last one. I think he did. Him going Mgtow on Mgtow at the end. And
Yeah, because it's bad information. I mean, it's bad information. They should know that. Don't they know it's bad information? I mean, are they that stupid?
no, that's the problem. Critical thinking. And
Yeah.
that's what this is about. I like to critical thinking. I got 2 books on critical thinking that I read once in a while, but they're very difficult. I mean, we're talking about 15K to up to 17K of and reading, and they're very difficult, and they can give you good ideas and everything. But man, you still have to do it moment by moment in this in this society, and it's just you start with ask yourself a question about what you're seeing, and you be critical about it, and ask yourself what since I'm going to be critical about this, I have to give an argument why that's not true. But I also am responsible to end the argument and say, well, okay, that can be true. It might be true. It may be, it's not. It might be it might not be an analytical truth or a deductive truth, but it could be, an inductive truth. And it's like, and give a little leeway, be liberal about it, and like, okay, do those things and figure it out. But no, that's your responsibility to figure these things out in life.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's why, like I said, I repeated myself, but like the source is so important. That's why I respect you a lot, and I learned a lot. Really, most of what I've learned in Mgtow is from pretty much you. I can't think of anyone else. Well, except for maybe RP. RP
Yeah, buddy,
and
you talk
I
to
think
a
they're
lot.
good influences too. But yeah, I think those guys are good influences. And then
Yeah,
but you know, I got good sources. I considered that okay, I give you like Sandman, okay, maybe I listen to one or two of his videos,
yeah,
but I could tell by the way he talks and just by his lack of experience in life, and he's very basic, and I just stopped listening to him. It got to the point I listened to 2 or 3 videos, and then I was like, okay, this guy's obviously, you know, in it for the clickbait, and you know, he has agenda that's not really in depth, you know. So I just stopped listening. I'm not wasting my time with a guy like him, you know.
yeah. His
You know, like when I listened to this guy Tom Sizenoff, I listened to him for stocks, and he's got a show. He's established trader, 30 years experience. He's been, you know, there's a guy named Bill Ackman who's a big like hedge fund guy, like multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, like one of the big shots on Wall Street. And Tom Sizenoff had an interview with Bill, and he's like kind of like calling him out on stuff. And I'm like, this is the guy. I said to myself, this is the guy I want to listen to. This is the guy I want to align with in terms of following stock market, Sizenoff, because he's just such a brilliant guy, and he's not afraid to challenge the top, you know, hedge fund guys. You know, so like my point I'm trying to make is that's a good source of information. I'm not listening to some Yahoo who's got, you know, 5 years of experience and he's in his 30s and he's a knucklehead and doesn't know anything, because he would be shaking in his boots if he was talking to Bill Ackman. You know, so if you apply that to Mgtow, I'm listening to guys like you for advice, or I go to RP, or you know, people that understand it, right? So you don't go to Sandman when you have important, you know, you're going through some type of situation in life. You don't go to Sandman for advice, you know, or Chris Cantu,
shouldn't be ran by Sandman, no.
yeah, or Chris Cantu, or you know, I don't mean to make fun of Mgtow. I know he's a very smart guy. He's obviously very smart. I'm not trying to, but that's not the guy I really want to go to when there's something real important going on. And I want to go to I'm going to lean on what you've been teaching, or these other Mgtow that are more intelligent in terms of Mgtow, at least, you know.
There were some interesting things happening in the stock market with the with GameStop.
Yeah.
That was an interesting.
It's insane. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Just stay away from those stocks. And it's bad for the market. I think it's bad for the market because
that was the.
How can you? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's going to be an investigation, I think. So there's going to be something.
Right.
That's very strange. Trading fast.
They figured out how to beat him at the own game and how to play the market and everything. But now there's going to be an adjustment to that. And what?
Yeah.
To that, because you got the dialectic in that, there's going to be an adjustment to that. So they're going to have to up the game, and there'll be another adjustment to these small cap funds that are going under and everything. But the thing is, they expose how can we prevent this? You know, people making money off other people's losses and stuff like that, and that's how they've been doing it for years. You know, even Chrome.
Yeah. They found a pattern. They found some type of pattern that they were able to exploit. They were able to exploit it because that's a $3 52-week low is like $3, and the 52-week high was $3.50, and that's not based on anything. You know, that's not based on a breakthrough or anything. You know, it's just a stupid little game shop store. It's you know what I mean. It's not like the sales went off the roof because they had this innovative idea or product come to market. That's just a bunch of bullshit.
Blockbuster became Amazon, or Blockbuster, Barters, or the bookstore,
right?
Became Amazon. It's like if you can look at something like that, oh yeah, there's some interesting information in there,
right?
And I was looking at
the information's everything. The information's everything, you know.
Yeah.
And
I was looking at the Amazon's interesting now. They're back in the news about COVID. They're going to support the COVID with the government and everything. And I thought, geez, now can I order my vaccine from Amazon, have it ship it to me in 2 days, and then I can self-inject because my government's so fucking failing.
I know. It's so crazy. It's you know what, I hate to say this, but the government's not. I mean, I don't think they're as bad as everyone makes them out to be, but they do give out bad information for sure. Like,
oh God, yeah,
and they do take advantage of people for sure. But they see what's good. See, the government's smart. See, the government's smart though. They give you like a bone. They'll throw you a bone, just like they're doing with the stimulus. You see how crafty they are? They'll throw you like a little bone, right? So they don't. Yeah, like my friend used to say, he had like a blacktop business. He goes, you know what? He goes, it's okay. he said, when you're fucking, I don't want to sound too crude, but he says, when you're banging, you just stick the tip in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't screw them too hard, So you stick the tip in, and it's like, and that's kind of what the government does. They stick the tip in, and and that's what keeps people kind of like, have some confidence in it, right?
The real story that should emerge from this whole thing is we threw everything on the CDC. We have Health and Human Services. That's a $51 trillion business organization over the last 25 years that we pumped, $51 trillion or more into, and they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And when it comes time to inoculate people or vaccinate people, they vaccinated themselves.
Yeah.
For a horrible job, dropping the ball. And that's the big questions in government that people should be asking right now is why Health and Human Services so dropped the ball. And had no way to actually, you should be able to go down to your Health and Human department in your local neighborhood. Everybody's got one, and that's why it's so expensive. We pumped $3.6 trillion into it this year and last year, and get a vaccine. And my thoughts today was like, I hope I can order it from Amazon.
Yeah. I don't like big government. I think big government is not good. But a lot of times they do, right. If they just did their job, like we talk about homelessness a lot. There should not be any homelessness.
There shouldn't be homelessness. Yeah, none at all. $51 billion to cure homelessness.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like
we pumped $3.6 trillion in Health and Human Services last year, and they haven't figured that out.
Yeah,
you losers. You should hand this thing over to me.
Right. Let us run it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, like I said, they're sticking the tip in.
Yeah, they're paying themselves what they're doing, and that's my complaint against America. Because Health and Human Services needs poverty. Where you get poverty? You get poverty from divorced kids and baby mamas and all that. Now they're paying themselves $120,000 a year, and they're all hoping that it gets bigger. But if we cure the problem of poverty and American homelessness, they wouldn't have a job, so they keep it going.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's why they do it. That's why they do it.
Yeah, people yell and defund the police. We should.
But that's critical thinking. See what you just said shows that you critically thought it through and figured out why it's there. Like George Carlin had the thing where he said it exists because they want to scare the shit out of the middle class. That they don't, if you don't work like a good slave, you're gonna end up homeless. That was his theory.
Yeah. They put those homeless guys on a rather like me, and it's like underneath a bridge. You see him and go, oh. That scares the hell out of me. Yeah.
So that's again, he was a great critical thinker, that George Carlin.
Yeah, he was, and a lot of those guys, they're sharp. They see the negation and the humor, but they know that there's a point that makes it funny.
Right. But the comedians today are all mostly PC, so they're not really comedians anymore.
Now, Camus had interesting outtakes on that about the theater of the absurd, so you can see what the absurd looks like. And that's what comedy is. It's the theater of the absurd. Now you know how to negate these things.
Yeah.
So something's ironically funny in a horrible way, you should be like, oh, I can spot that.
Well, I'll talk about abortion. I mean, I think to me that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. And a woman that's had multiple abortions, that's a mental illness. That's a severe mental illness right there.
My argument with abortion starts really basic. It's like women have been aborting babies forever. When their stress level goes over a certain amount, they naturally abort. It's called a miscarriage.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Beautiful. You just taught me something there too.
The situation in life's good enough where they don't have that stress, then they don't miscarry, and they should keep the baby. But they should also have a responsibility for the baby, and that goes back to the science of it. Like if there's no stress in their body, then they'll keep the baby, and stress would no financial stress, no this stress. They know that the baby's gonna be taken care of in her. Then it's okay. Then we can cure abortion too, through science, not through screaming with signs in the street. You have to know exactly what abortion is. Women been doing that.
Now, why did they? I wonder why the government want. Why did they want abortion? What was the whole agenda behind why that was even passed? Like, what was it? Was that a population control thing, or what was it?
Well, yeah, there's certain stressors that arise, like financial and vanity, and abortions pretty much. And they were going to get abortions from.
But wasn't the bigger? Well, I say the big issue was to take away men's strength, their power, and take away men's.
If they're bright, they've designed a whole system based on taking away men's power.
Yeah, I would say obviously disempowers men, right? And
no, it empowers them to be able to do this, and it's like, okay, I financially can't afford this.
So
but
what was the true reason? I guess I'm not trying to ask you. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. What was the true? What do you think the true agenda? Like, what was the true reason? I mean, it's obviously not to help women. I don't think.
You want to eat it too. There's these liberal attitudes that I'll just go out and practice sex every night at the bar, and no one ever explained to her where babies come from, and then all of a sudden she's burdened with that. Okay, I now know where babies come from because I've been practicing sex liberally at the bar every night. And I think that's irresponsible. That's why I talk about, well, let's make the females responsible, and we can develop social systems around truth rather than one thing's for true. If your stress levels go up past a certain amount, you're going to have a miscarriage, and that's self-aborting. But we would rather you not make the decision. I'd rather you make is not spread the legs for every guy at the bar,
because there's a lot of ways. If you need that sex thing, there's a lot of ways to get off. You don't need to have someone
you can get off
insert themselves in you and then start pounding away, and it and whatever, right? You don't like. There's a lot of ways to have fun with another person if you want that. Besides that, right? So it makes no sense. It makes no sense to. It's a very. To me, that's the most barbaric thing in our culture right now, in our world right now is abortion. I don't think there's anything close to.
The thing is holding them accountable for that behavior and responsible. It's like, that's your body. It was your choice to do that. It's not the man. He didn't make you pregnant. You lay on the bed. You open it. It's ingresses and ingresses. It's like you opened every one of those doors where that would happen.
Right.
You opened that door, which that babies come from. You're the only one that can have a baby. He can't.
Right.
Your body does that.
And then you hear like the silly argument. What about when the women's raped? But women are raped so infrequently. Like, what is it? Less than 1% of 1%? Or
you're probably not going to know a person that was raped in your neighborhood. The actual statistics is so great that you're probably not going to know one.
Right. And
I looked at those.
You have to be like a mentally ill man would rape, because you have to be mentally severely mentally ill.
It's a horrible thing. I'm saying that's a horrible. And if the guy is mentally ill, the way he's gonna take that, he doesn't deserve to be in our society. He's not. He's not in my Mgtow. He's not. And I hear these guys hinge on that thing where they're so entitled that they believe they're able to just take that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
You're not a Mgtow. I don't know what you are. You need to be taught. And that's that psychopath thing we talked about, the difference between a psychopath and psychopathy, and some people can be taught, and maybe these guys just need to be taught by Mgtow. It's like
control yourself.
Control yourself. Have a little dignity.
Yeah. No, but the abortion thing, that's just our society needs to acknowledge. We have to, because we're not going to evolve as a society. I mean, that's not a good law. That's a barbaric law. And then even a late term abortion. Wow,
that's one of the things that would change the whole paradigm of this world, and would be a paradigm switch, is if women did wake up one morning and say, no, if I open my legs, I'm going to get pregnant, and I have to be responsible for this. And that is baby 100%. I would be responsible for another human life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold a man in slavery to make him pay for my irresponsibility. That would be a paradigm shift that would surge this world into that God state that I talk about.
Yeah.
But until we can get them to believe that it is their body, their choice, you got 100% autonomy. That is yours, and that is your baby 100%. And
Yeah.
no man's forcing you into that. Take responsibility for it. If women started acting like that, then we wouldn't need marriage. We need to have some yoke bonding them to some traditional guy that just wants to be irresponsible at night and grope on that, because you'd be making better decisions for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes back to what we said. Like, the women want their cake and eat it too. Like, they want.
My last 2 kids were from women that understood that point.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you're not a father. You're not anything close. You got good genetics, and I like that. But and I want to have a baby, but it's my baby, and I don't even want you around. They told me. I said, well, that's the way I want it. I said, I don't want to be a father. I am not a father. That's a lie.
So what do you get out of that, though? What do you get out of that whole situation? Like, with
I was just hanging. I was just.
Yeah, but what do you get out of it? What do you get out of it? Just the pleasure of the moment, or what do you mean? Like, do you get anything out of that child being born? Putting yourself in a situation.
He goes on. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to have stress moments. I don't have to. I know there's children out.
No, I know, but how did it benefit you? I guess at the time.
How did it benefit me? I was just being me at that time, just trying to. I was just, it was fun being with them. They're fun, interesting people. It was a plus in my life. We've discussed.
Well, maybe when they get older, you can have a relationship with them when they're not dependent on you, right?
Yeah, when they're not dependent, and they knew they weren't dependent on me. I'd be like, no, I'm not your daddy. I'm not your sugar daddy, and they would get offended if there are people that thought like me. It's like, you're not a father, and I.
Well, it's interesting because the society tells you. So society will tell you, oh, you were a deadbeat dad, and then, oh, now you want to be in my life now, like after 25 years or whatever, but you were a bad father. Like, that's what the society will tell you.
I'm not a bad father. I'm not a bad person for the way I think. I says, if anything, the irresponsibility of these people that go out and have kids and expect a man to be a slave, that's a barbaric thing. That's one of the tenets of barbarism. It's like, them people are immoral, irresponsible, and disgusting to me that don't understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are women out there that do understand it. Unfortunately, right now, it may be just the lesbians that understand that. And there's nothing wrong with hanging around with the lesbians. They're fun.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's a thing that I guess if men still need that, then those are the kind of women they probably should be hanging around with,
Right. And Mgtow, if you're looking for, just go out, have fun, be normal in the society, I would suggest that move.
Yeah. 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 And if she wants a baby, you're going to be.
She knows she doesn't want you around. She wants a girlfriend around. She wants.
I wouldn't recommend that, but yeah, I mean.
No, there's nothing wrong with those. It's like, it's like they're going to raise them improperly. No, they're not, because there was one situation of some weirdos trying to make their boy into a little girl. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. The normal state of affairs in this world is they'll raise them very good, and they'll treat them well, and they'll be a good mom, and they understand that. They're responsible. From the inception, they were responsible. So that tells you a lot about that social situation.
That's interesting. Yeah.
They knew I'm just Joe. I don't believe in those things. Don't try to hold me responsible for something I don't believe in. It's not like we didn't discuss that.
Yeah.
I am not a fake, made up fantasy fiction father. I am not Cleaver Ward. I will never be. There's never a day where I'm going to be Ward Cleaver.
Yeah. Yeah. What a world, huh? What a life that is. Like, dude, I feel bad for these guys that are trapped in that situation. But you're never really trapped. You can
Yeah,
always
there
get
are
out.
guys out there volunteering for their delusion. It's like, man, I just see these people as sick, and there's a sickness in this world that's absurd. And maybe I'm the only guy that's or mentally capable of pointing it out,
Yeah.
and that's pretty sad. I'm just Joe. Everybody hates me.
Yeah. They don't like me either. I got my own. I don't like me. I don't know.
Maybe it's because I
But
do.
I didn't play the part. I was supposed to play the part. I was supposed to have 5 kids or whatever, and 3, 4
But that's
kids.
that's me. I don't do those things. I don't believe in things that aren't real. I don't. It projects in my
Yeah.
life too. When I go to the store, when I do this, and people that are doing crazy shit see me, I'm that guy that'd be like, "Hey, stop it, asshole."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm that really sharp guy. That,
Yeah. And our society is really strange.
I know it's like a school teacher mentality too. It's like you got to have it with all the children out there, and I know that feeling because you're a school teacher. It's like you take that out into the world, and you got to be the school teacher for all the idiots in your neighborhood too.
Well, yeah, it's something when they got their pants down. Some of these guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're black or white; they're all doing the same type of crazy, dressing. Yeah, and anyway, yeah, you see that type of stuff. It kind of you just shake your head sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, we deal with these problems all the time in Mgtow. There's guys that want to have children. Now, my lesbian theme has always been one of those options where you can have children, share your progeny. There's another theme that says just save your money and get a surrogate mother, or 200 miles. And there's 3 themes that I give that are totally safe for you, or 200 miles and a fake ID, which would be the last theme. That's what I tell PUAs because they're not going to stop. But there are other themes that you can generate and logic that work very well for that existential angst that you're going to get from wanting to be you're wanting to have progeny, wanting to have an image of you in this world after you leave. And that's all I'm saying. It's not nothing to do with politics or what you believe or your moral ethical stances on homosexuality or whatever. That's their business. And I say, I stay out of their bedroom, they stay out of my bedroom. And and if we intertwine in some bedroom someday, I'm not going to tell, and I don't want to be asked about it. And that's my, I'm a Mgtow about those things. It's like be mature when you're around me.
yeah.
But that's one of the demanding points about being around me. You have to be a very mature person.
Yeah, and that's good. You don't want to be around those kind of people who don't take things seriously. I mean, I have fun and everything, but
yeah, you can lower your guard and some of your inhibitions sometimes, and that's fun. We all learn those things as we're teenagers about lowering your inhibitions, having a few drinks, pop loose, have a fun. I've been known to cut the rug once in a while, Joey.
Yeah. Well, I did too. My late teens, early 20s. I kind of stopped with it.
I mean,
but in general, you got to take your life seriously. You can't have like
generally, you don't do that in a parking
drunk
lot
all the time or doing drugs all the time or whatever. Yeah, because that's when you're around those kind of people, forget it.
Right. Yeah. Addicts bother me, and people that even that drink can't control.
Pretty much. They'll still cheat and lie,
They'll lie, cheat, and steal if it's the same. It's this, There's a great book on there. I'll put it up here. I'll look it up real quick. It's called The Dark Side of Human Nature, and I think,
link it up. I'm gonna put it on there. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
It's a great book to read over, and just he brings you real close to the reality of the world, and it's like, well, That's like, this is the way the world really is, and there's a dark side to human nature, and I think we should all
Right.
agree with that.
Yeah, that's what we talk about, the predatory world.
Yeah,
Predatory world we live in.
yeah, it's a very predatory world we live in. Let me see who writes that. I have to open up
Especially
my.
banks. Banks are very predatory. Banks and employers are very predatory.
Oh yeah, no
That's why
shit.
if you can start your own business, you should. If you have the aptitude or talent, that's probably a good move. Even if you're making just enough to get by, you're probably better off. As long as you're not working too many hours. Like if you can figure it out, that's a better way to go.
Yeah, let me see about this. I actually have two books. I'll get them up in a minute as soon as I get to my book title list.
Yeah. Is that the exact title? What you just said?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the author's name to it. Okay. Okay, there's one called Dark Psychology Masters. It's Robert Peterson. I finished that one. I thought it was rather good. And then there's a half a book that I would say read half of it, and then uh, let me see. Oh, Understanding the Dark Side of Human Nature by Daniel Byers. And I finished that one. I finished that whole book, so that must have been good. There was three of them. There's one I didn't finish that I would, but Understanding the Dark Side of Human Nature by Daniel Byers was a very interesting read, and he brings you up to some very Mgtow things.
Oh, okay. Good. What does he recommend? Like kind of no contact with these people?
No, he just recommends the obvious: be aware that
You're
there's
aware, but then what's the action step? Just get away from them, pretty much.
right. That you start doing critical thinking. You don't get away because you can't get out of this world. You can't leave this world. I often say I want to get, have one of those rings like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and go, I'm ready to leave, but I can't. You're going to have to deal with people, and you're going to have to deal with it in business, in love, and you're going to have to deal with it in relationships with friends, and you're going to have to deal with the dark side of human nature and all those things. Please know about it. Please be aware that anybody you deal with, he's going to think in his own self-interest.
Yeah.
And then he'll start going through a lot of the steps or he'll walk you through a lot of where you don't think it happens at like colleges or getting your education, and he'll takes you through stuff like grocery stores and stuff like that. And where's the dark side of human nature in grocery stores and stuff like that? And it's very interesting, and he's very smart, and he doesn't use the scientific words, and he stays on track with it being a sort of postmodern philosophy where he's using the correct wordage and everything.
Is he smarter than Maslow?
What's that? Yeah, it's a little past Maslow. Maslow would have been like, no, just make a pyramid. And then at the end, you have this, what does he call it at the end? Where you
Self-actualization.
Self-actualize. That's like the guy in the background. I thought that was funny. He's self-actualizing.
He had a goofy smile on his face, Maslow. He had no idea. Do you think he ever said we were in a predatory world? Like he sees everything like so positive, and
yeah.
And
explain to me what self-actualizing in a normal state of affairs is. It's like, please do it, because it's made up.
Well, it's good to be positive. I'm not saying don't be positive, but you also have to be aware. Yeah, you have to be aware. There's a lot of people, your family, your friends too, that they don't have your best interest in mind. So, you have to be aware of that. It's a terrible thing to have to acknowledge, but you have to, or else you're going to fall behind. They're going to take advantage of you.
Yeah, this is the jackass that wrote. If he had a book too, this his other only publication. He had two publications and very few little rate, not like Jung but his other public. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I just started laughing when I heard that. That's so childish. That's philosophical.
Yeah, that's sophisticated idea. Yeah. But Maslow said you have to have a balance. You have to have food.
Yes,
Like,
food important. It's
like,
like,
like you
no,
need food.
yeah, no, he's, you know, the whole, I was looking at it the other day, the whole high pressure salesman thing is based on Maslow's hierarchy. It's like,
Validation. Maslow talks a lot about validation, belonging, and
yeah, the whole thing is like a scam where you can learn how to scam the rest of the world. And if that's what you want to be, then fine, go ahead down that's I used to have it here. I was looking at it the other day. I can't remember. I did a sort of video on it, and I was like kind of left people short because it was I thought it would be too in depth for people to understand. It's like when you look at the Chris Cantu salesman, that's Maslow's hierarchy playing out, and that's why they all think like they're going to give you this magic self actualization at the end, but they have steps to draw you in.
yeah.
And it's like it's like, you know what it is, it's scamming for dummies.
Yeah, that's right. It's the same thing with makeup, like these women that buy makeup and stuff, and consumerism. You buy this, you're gonna feel better or whatever.
Yeah, consumer Bernays, marketing stuff like that. It's a scamming for dummies, that people that buy into that want to feel powerful, and everybody wants to feel like they're powerful until they look up at the universe and realize what they are.
Yeah,
and nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. It's like look up at the sky, at the universe, and oh gosh, it's so big. It's like wow. It's like because that invokes fear, and it shouldn't. I mean, it should evoke wonder, but fearful people do fearful things, and
yeah.
I mean, that's what, the whole religion thing came about. Well, first he was like in a forest, and then he met with some guy privately in a forest. Then he was on top of a mountain where you couldn't see him, and he met with some guy on top of a mountain. Then he was in the sky, and then the Russian cosmonaut said, "Nope, don't see. I don't see God up here." And everybody says, "No, no, he's past the universe." So it's the moving goalpost of God.
Yeah.
He started off in a forest. Now he's
Yeah.
past the universe. The more we learn, the more the goalpost is going to move out beyond our comprehension.
Yeah, but Joey's so holy. You're standing on holy ground.
And
Well,
there was a new movie about that. About they reached the edge of they went into space, and then he got lost up there, and because he was looking for God, and he got to the end of the universe, and he was like, "Did you find God?" And he's like, "No God here," and then he went nuts. It's like,
yeah, it's a bad trick that they play, evil trick they play on us, these religions, and
yeah.
um,
No, that's just humans. You got to think of when you think about what happened with religion. You have to think about what happened when tribes met other tribes and then or non-contacted other tribes, and then they had to get them to believe in a new society and get along, and that's how they did it. With the magical stories about this ruler that will slay them if they don't believe what you believe.
yeah, there's no evidence. There's no evidence that these things happened. Like these battles or whatever, and it's
Yes, Joey Aragon, you're going to go to hell, and because you're you don't suffer enough. It's like, no, just be happy. I mean, just try to think about. That's what I said. Quell that existential angst. Just think about it like I think about it when you look back at your life and think about your accomplishments and go, man, that gave me a place in this world, and then that sidetracks the whole. That was my purpose, to be there for that moment, and then that sidetracks all that existential, and you can smile about your accomplishments.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was teaching in Albany, he didn't have everyone had a backpack,
Yeah.
Like, this is like I'll give you one of those examples, like what you just said. And it makes me happy. Like something I did. So this kid was obviously poor, he was
Yeah.
like old 30 and everything. And he didn't have a back. Everyone had a backpack,
Except for
and
him.
he didn't have one. And so I went during my lunch break. I bought him a backpack, and I threw a bunch of stuff in there. And I never saw that kid ever again. And I never went back to school ever again. So just that one moment, I was able to. And
Oh,
the
you're
backpack, like I spent $10-15 on the backpack and
yeah.
whatever. It cost a lot of money, but it wasn't the point. It wasn't. It was the point was that I recognized he was in need, because I could tell that really bothered him. He was
Yeah.
really hurt. There's like 20, 30 kids in the class, and he's the only one without a backpack, and everyone's kind of like making fun of him. And I bought him like the best backpack I could find.
There you go.
And then he had the best backpack. I threw, I threw a little candy in there and some other stuff, and pencils and whatever. And
You might have changed your life right there. You might have.
I never know. I'll never see that. It was like 20. That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Think about that.
I always see that kid's face. I always remember that smile on that kid's face. Yeah, exactly. I never see that kid again. I don't know what happened to him, but I guarantee you, I'm not sure, but I almost think that he'll always remember that moment.
Yeah. You were there for that, and that was your purpose, to be there.
Maybe that was my purpose for being born. Was this that stupid? I'm kind of being a little silly here, but not really. But maybe that was the purpose, just to give that kid the baby.
Settled the crisis of the universe and everything. That was my purpose.
I don't know. I'll never see that kid. I didn't even remember his name. I remember the school district I was in, and that's it. I don't remember anything else.
That was a great thing to do. I told you about that one kid. About when I was doing my thing at Christmas, and I go around and I hand out, and then I got up there, and I had like the fives that I keep to hand out, and then the kid was just sitting there, and he didn't even ask me. And it was like, and he said, "Hey man, it's like as I was coming out, and he says, you got any change to give you?" And I took a couple of those fives and I gave it to him. And I know he was in a hard way. And then you know what he did? And it just made me cry. I think I gave him $20, and he took off running towards the grocery store across the ways,
Wow. He was so hungry.
He was hungry, and his mother was probably hungry, or his family, and he was going to run there, and he ran that whole distance over there so he can go get food for his family. And I was like, I just started crying. And I never seen him after that. It's like, but I was like, man, I was so glad I was there for that.
Yeah.
That was my purpose that day. And that answers the question of life. Why am I here? What do I,
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. And then it's like, I wish I could have did more. I was trying to think, like, how can I get a hold of this kid now so I can go do a health check and make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to follow that up, and I couldn't. I was asking people his name, like, do you know that kid? You know that? It's like I need to do a health check now.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a beautiful story.
Man, and that's cost me so little. You think about what it cost me to do that, like around Christmas time, run around, make sure like everybody, at least for that day, has $5 in their pocket. It just cost me like a couple of $150 or something. That's it. That's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great thing. I mean, that's our responsibility. If we have the opportunity to do that, we should. That's what makes Mgtow great too. Is that that kind of becomes your family. That becomes your family as a community.
I'm not going to chase those arms. I just get a smile that provides me with some joy, and the more. It's not even about that. It's not about what I can get out of this thing. It's more about that providing me with the idea that all this just doesn't matter. It's like all that garbage, all that angst, all that, questions about the universe and everything. It really mattered that I was there that day when he needed something.
Wow. Yeah.
That was my purpose. I do have a purpose on this planet, and there's a plan for me. And I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
Right.
I mean, if you can't be happy and smile at night after you ask yourself these questions, then man, I don't know what kind of person we're dealing with. Uh, just be smiling and be honest with yourself, about those things. And I think most people's lives will improve, and it'll cut through a lot of the malarkey.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see any. I didn't see any of the Republicans or the congressmen out there and Democrats. And I didn't see any of those people out doing what I do every year.
Oh my God, their realities. They live in fantasy fiction land, I think.
Yeah, that's that fantasy fiction land of modern sociology that was born of religion. It's all a lie. How good do you think that's going to work?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was somebody arguing with postmodernism the other day, and I was like, you have no clue what it is. You have no clue. And that's what I think about any argument against postmodernism is you must not have a clue what it is, because otherwise
Yeah. Yeah, we have a responsibility.
And I can't put a book up if you want to.
Oh, it's okay. I wrote them down. I got them written down, so I'll find them.
They're too good. You can get those on audio book, so you can sit and you just kind of listen to them, chapters on that, and
Yeah.
If it gets too much, you don't have to know the whole thing. He'll give you the points up in the first 3 or 4 chapters, and that's all you really need. And then he'll start linking stories, and that's okay to listen to those stories, so you can have a better idea how it affects you in your life. But hey,
I just get away from those situations as much as I don't like dealing with these people.
Yeah.
And like I just don't. Yeah, I don't engage them. I'm done. Not healthy people. They're not healthy people.
Right.
Unhealthy people. I don't. Someone's an excessive drinker, or drug user.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around. I don't like.
Yeah, that's an indication of addiction, and they can. It's are they going to act, or if they're in society out there, I'm going to have to go out into this world with that person if I keep them in my life, and then there's going to be women into that. They'll be addicted to that too, and then all of a sudden that's going to lead to some crisis. It's like, and I don't want to have.
They're going to put you in bad spots. They're going to put you in a bad spot.
It's going to be those crises, and that you're going to have to go through, and that'll lead to the drama. And
don't call them back. Don't call them back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, you just keep doing that, and I'll stay here.
Well, those are the same people that are always trying to guilt trip you if you don't call them back. Why don't you call me back?
Call me back.
I had a friend that did that. He was like a drug addict, and he lived right around the corner. I was so unlucky because he lived right around the corner from me, and because he lived with his parents. He couldn't afford the house, and he was a great guy, but he just had a drug addict, and he keep asking me for money, and it's like, oh my God, because he needed that fix so bad,
Yeah. I just went through that with the young man I had in here, and he was another failure, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah, you did your part, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I hate the failure, and
yeah.
It's like them are the things you doubt, like what could I have said in this moment or this thing, and then I realized that hey, I had him off for 8 days once, and then 10 days another. So I did my job, and I got him through the critical parts, but he just couldn't take life without it, and sometimes pain.
Well, that's what it is, right? Is that why they're into that? It's like they just need to have.
Right. Sometimes pain goes a lot deeper. We've had discussions about, the what pain was, what pain is there, and vast discussions about it. But when he gets to that point where he's going to share that pain, he was balking on it, and he reverted back. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to do it. You got to, whatever trauma there is there, you're going to have to get that out, or these things will continue. I mean, I had to go through it because I was drinking heavy at one point in my life after I was dealing with the PTSD, and so I kind of know. But I had to go through it myself, and I know how hard it is when you're dealing with that kind of emotional pain, and you can't explain these things to people.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had any, like drugs or alcohol or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's usually reasons for it. I say there are no addiction. It's not a disease. I don't believe in it as a disease. I believe there's people in this world that have to go through life every day with huge amounts of pain, and until they
like you talking about more like psychological type stuff,
psychological pain, emotional pain, PTSD, trauma. There's a lot of
marijuana is probably a good alternative for that, I would think.
Yeah, I've never really
slows you down a little bit though, makes you tired. I've never tried
marijuana person. That it's just
that's
like,
how lame I am, Joe. I never even tried it. I don't know how to.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to smoke. I don't even know how to get started.
Yeah, if you wanna be paranoid for a whole day and then your buddy has to help you home, like just go smoke some marijuana.
I guess I'm at the point now where it's like a pride thing. Like I don't even want to try it.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I
good.
don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal. Marijuana.
If you want to try it, go ahead. But it's no big. I don't think anybody's ever robbed a person to get their marijuana fix.
Yeah, that's why I think marijuana is probably a good alternative for people.
Yeah,
who really need to relax.
It's like alcohol. Most people aren't going to rob someone to get alcohol. They'll bum a couple bucks from you once in a while, but that's
alcohol fix.
Yeah, to get their alcohol fix. I just had the guy do that up the street. He was like, "Dude, can I borrow $10?" And I was like, "You just want to get yourself a 12-pack?" And I was like, "Here, take the $10." And I know what you're doing. And now he see me the other day. He was like all guilty. And he's like, but that guilt.
You don't borrow $10. You don't borrow $10.
It's like, it's like that's I rebuilt his bike for him for free, and it's like he rides it all the time now, and I'm glad he's being healthy about that.
Yeah.
But I had to explain the reason you're riding a bike is because you have no license because you were what? Drinking.
Yeah. I'd be interested in looking some of that stuff, like what leads people to, like, how do they get addicted? I mean, is it chemical? Like, how does it happen? I guess. How do they? Traumatic event? Is it traumatic event?
And I first became a DNA counselor. I was like, the big thing about it was the same as Mgtow was a large percentage of these guys in AA and stuff were they didn't have alcohol problems. They had female problems, and that's what's driving them to drink them. I think it's up to about 65% of them were drinking themselves to death because of female problems. But that, and I said, well, I can bring from the 45% cure rate, I can automatically bring up to about 75 to 80% if we just focus on this. But I wasn't very well taken to. And that bothers me when I see a man drinking himself to death after a bad relationship. It's like, because that's more common. That's not the exception to the rule. That's sort of the rule. It's like, first thing you better is there's going to be some emotional pain he's going through because, man, he set his whole life up and around, a relationship, and also that relationship's gone, and now he's drinking himself. That's not hard to figure out.
Yeah.
But I'm one of the few people that don't believe that alcoholism is addiction is a disease. there's no disease model around it, and there's no Bayesian logic to that, and there's no. It's like.
Huh.
So I'm kind of unpopular in that too.
What usually works to get people, cured, I guess. What strategy works?
What strategy works? Socialization.
Okay.
Cognitive therapy and socialization usually works pretty good. And then people will start mingling, and then that emotional pain subsides, drinking subsides with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so cognitive therapy, and that's just going to meetings, meeting people, going to the park. My park thing goes to that too. It's like go to the park, meet people, experience life in a different way, and clean, and most of these people think that the only life there is the path between the bar and their home. It's like, no, you ever been to the park? It's a great place. Walk around the mall too. There's mall walkers and people that hang around, and group therapy is always great as long as you can figure out the kind of group that you want to be in, and there's other groups too. Like I can't. I took that photograph thing when with my specific is like be around people, learn how to do photography, and that was that's basically cognitive therapy.
Yeah. So like staying active around other people, pretty much.
Stay active, get out there, and there's most of the time is increasing people's vocabulary when you're meeting people. A lot of people have hang-ups when they meet people about how to be able to speak to another person, and you have to kind of increase their vocabulary on how to interact socially. There's a lot of people that really have no social skills at all. I can't believe they ever went to a public school in their life because their social skills are so horrible. And let's just be happy. Don't be negative, and negative breeds negative and stuff like that.
Yeah. Huh.
So we've been on for 2 hours and 37 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a good talk.
11. Yeah. Let's go to at least 12:12. We got one more minute. 12:12.
12:12.
Yeah. 1 minute will be 12:12. So let's just talk until 12:12. Unless you wanna wrap it up, or
yeah, I think I'm about ready to wrap this up. I'm
yeah.
I gotta.
Yeah, good for being on. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we want to do this a lot more and talk about subjects, and when I could.
Yeah.
I had been kind of working. I was writing a chapter, so I was kind of thinking about that. I shared some of it today about your purpose in life and carrying that thing, and we'll go a little deeper into that someday.
Yeah. So I was just closing thought for me would be just for people to always consider the source where they're getting their information, because a lot of people have agendas, especially the media, and then also your corner church, they have their agendas too, and you want to kind of go to a source as someone who's living its proof is right there, and how they're living and the things they're saying and how they conduct themselves. I think those are the good sources. These other people living a crazy lifestyle, obviously you don't want to listen to them, but the media and also the religion, they have an agenda. So it's tough to get to that point where you have those good critical thinking skills, but you have to you have to get to that point if you want a better life.
Yeah.
So my closing thought.
Read that book on the dark side of humans and personality, and always consider that everybody has their own agenda, and that's natural with human beings. And you're not the only one on this planet, and I guess we're not. We have to. If you get by, that's another thing that's like pocket aces. Then as long as if you know it, then you're aware of it, then you can protect yourself and then minimize the risk from them things. And with that, it all has to do with minimalizing risk in Mgtow, and that's where it all starts. All roads lead back to Mgtow, and for each and every guy that showed up, thanks for showing up and being a Mgtow with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have no one to be a Mgtow with, and that's it. Thanks for being Mgtow, Mgtows.